11 days, the woman across the hall said. Maybe 12. I remember because the moving truck blocked my car, and your son gave me a bottle of wine to apologize. I was standing in Evan's empty apartment with my phone vibrating in my pocket. Diane had texted again. Should I put the rolls in now or wait? The woman, Mrs. Alvarez, glanced past me at the pale rectangles where the furniture had protected the carpet from 6 years of sun. You didn't help them move? No, I said. She understood before I did. Her face changed in that quick, private way people's faces change when they realize they have accidentally stepped into a family's open wound. At home, my wife was wearing her blue blouse, the one with the pearl buttons she saved for birthdays, church suppers, and Sunday dinners when Evan and Lauren came over. There would be 3 place settings on the table because Lauren was supposedly visiting her sister, and Diane would have turned the oven down twice to keep the roast from drying out. Evan had known all of that when he texted, running late. Don't start without me. Mrs. Alvarez folded her arms against the draft coming through the open apartment door. Maybe it was sudden, she said. I looked at the clean baseboards, the removed shower curtain, and the circles on the kitchen counter where appliances had sat. No, I said. It wasn't sudden. 40 minutes earlier, I had been at home pretending not to watch Diane rearrange carrots around a pot roast. She always put celery under the meat even though nobody ate the celery. Evan once called it structural celery, and the phrase had survived longer than most of the jokes in our family. You're hovering, Diane said. I'm standing. You're standing in a way that suggests criticism. I moved 6 inches to the left. Better? No. Now you're standing sarcastically. That was Diane. She could make irritation sound almost affectionate when she wanted to. After 39 years, I knew the difference between her real annoyance and the kind she used to keep a room warm. The kitchen smelled like rosemary, onions, and the rolls she had bought from Bellini's because Evan claimed mine came out too dense. My rolls did not come out too dense. They came out substantial. There was a difference. He said 6, she told me. I heard you the first 3 times. It's 6:20. He has a phone. He also has a mother. And yet, somehow only one of those things has a tracking feature. She gave me a look, but the corner of her mouth moved. Evan and Lauren lived 12 minutes away in an apartment complex built on the site of an old hardware store. The buildings had optimistic names like Maple Court and Willow House, though the only tree in the parking lot was a half-dead pear that dropped fruit on people's cars. They had been coming to Sunday dinner nearly every week since they moved back to our side of town. Sometimes Lauren arrived in work clothes and fell asleep after dessert. Sometimes Evan brought a bottle of wine too expensive for pot roast and acted offended when Diane used it for gravy the following week. It was ordinary enough that we had stopped confirming. Sunday at 6 was simply where they were supposed to be. At 6:23, Evan texted Diane, running late, don't start without me. She read it aloud, then set her phone beside the salt. What does running late mean? She asked. It means he is late and possibly running. Frank, I don't know, Di. Call him. You have the same phone I do. He doesn't answer when I call while he's driving. Then calling him seems like a poor use of both our time. She turned the oven down 10 degrees. At 6:40, she called anyway. It rang until voicemail. She didn't leave a message. She just stared at the screen, offended by it. I tried next. Same result. Maybe he's stuck at the apartment, she said. He mentioned the kitchen sink dripping again. He mentioned that in March. I fixed it in March. Maybe it's dripping somewhere new. That's not generally how faucets work. She took the lid off the green beans, stirred them, and put the lid back on. Then she did it again less than a minute later. The second time, I reached for my keys. I'll drive over. Her relief came too quickly. I'll come with you. Then who will protect the structural celery? Very funny. Stay. If he shows up, call me. She hesitated with the dish towel clenched in both hands. Don't make him feel like we're checking up on him. I'm going to his apartment because you asked me to. I did not ask you. You rearranged the carrots into a distress signal. That almost got a smile. Almost. Outside, the rain was fine enough to look harmless and steady enough to soak through a jacket. I drove with the wipers on low and the heat blowing at my knees. I didn't feel worried. Not yet. Evan was 34, healthy, married, and perfectly capable of being inconsiderate without being dead in a ditch. I assumed I would find him in the parking lot, changing a tire, or upstairs arguing with a delivery company. I assumed he would look at me the way he always did when Diane sent me after him, half amused and half tired. Mom deploy you? That was what he usually said, and I would shrug as if I had no part in being deployed. His building had a locked outside door, but my key still opened it. Evan had given me the spare after a furnace problem 2 winters earlier. He said it was in case they needed someone who knew the difference between a pipe wrench and a decorative towel rack. The hallway smelled faintly of somebody's fried fish. There was a new paper label inside the mailbox for apartment 3, B.K. Patel. I stood there with my key in my hand, reading it twice. Upstairs, Evan's brass number was still on the door. My key opened that lock too. The first thing I noticed was the echo. Apartments should not echo when people live in them. The second thing was the missing blinds. Rain streaked the uncovered windows, and the parking lot lights shone straight into the living room. There was nothing there. No brown sofa, no record cabinet, no lamp Lauren hated, and Evan defended because he had found it at a flea market. The wall where their wedding picture had hung was a brighter shade of beige than everything around it. Evan? My voice came back to me from the kitchen. I checked every room anyway. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me believed a married couple could accidentally move everything they owned and still be in the bedroom. The refrigerator was unplugged with both doors propped open. A blue plastic ice tray sat upside down in the sink. In the bathroom, the medicine cabinet shelves were wiped clean. Even the little ceramic fox Lauren kept cotton swabs in was gone. The place had not been robbed. It had been completed. On the dining room wall were 4 small nail holes where a frame map used to hang. Diane gave them that map when they moved in. She had marked our house with a red pin and theirs with a blue one, then written 12 minutes in the corner as if proximity were a family achievement. I called Evan. Voicemail. I called Lauren. Voicemail. Then Mrs. Alvarez opened her door and found me standing in the hall. She was somewhere around 70 and always wore bright sneakers. That evening, they were yellow. I had repaired her garbage disposal the year before because Evan told her I liked projects, which was how I ended up doing unpaid maintenance for half the county. She smiled when she recognized me. Frank. Did they forget something? What do you mean? Her smile held for 1 second too long. The move, she said. That was when she told me about the truck, the wine, and 11 days. She said Lauren had hugged her goodbye. Evan carried boxes most of the day and complained about his back. There had been 3 men helping, none of them anyone I knew. Where did they go? I asked. South, I think. Your son said they were tired of winters. Evan liked winter. He owned 3 snow shovels and had opinions about road salt. Did he say what city? I'm sorry, no. She touched my arm, then seemed to think better of it. I thought the whole family knew. So did I. She invited me inside for coffee. I thanked her and said my wife was waiting for dinner. Only after I said it did I realize how that sounded. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and read Evan's last few messages to me. Did you ever find that 1/2-inch socket? Mom says you're bringing pie Sunday. Please confirm it is not rhubarb. Call when you get a minute. Nothing urgent. That one was from 9 days earlier, 2 days after the moving truck. I had called. We spoke for 11 minutes about the Steelers, my mower, and whether Lauren's car needed new brakes. He never mentioned that he was no longer in Pennsylvania. I typed, "Where are you?" The message showed as delivered, no reply. Diane called before I started the engine. Well, I watched rain gather on the windshield until the parking lot lights blurred. He's not there. What does that mean? The apartment is empty. A pause. Empty how? There are questions people ask because they lack information, and questions they ask because they are buying a few more seconds before the information becomes real. Their things are gone, Di. Maybe they changed units. They moved. Who told you that? The neighbor, 11 days ago. She breathed into the phone. In the background, I heard the oven timer begin to beep. She let it beep 4 times before speaking. Come home. When I walked into our kitchen, she was still sitting at the table. She had taken off the blue blouse and changed into her old gray cardigan, as though the evening had lost the right to see her dressed up. The roast sat on the stove beneath a tent of foil. Evan's plate remained in place. She had put a roll on it. Tell me exactly, she said. I told her about the apartment, the new name on the mailbox, Mrs. Alvarez, the truck. Diane did not interrupt until I mentioned the bottle of wine. He gave the neighbor wine to apologize for blocking her car. What kind? I didn't ask. We gave him that case of Cabernet at Christmas. I don't know if it was our wine. He remembers to apologize to a woman across the hall, but not to us. Her voice was level. That frightened me more than crying would have. She reached for her phone. He texted me. I know. No. Tonight. He texted me tonight. She opened the message and placed the phone between us, as if I had not already seen it. Running late. Don't start without me. Her thumb hovered over his name. Maybe someone has his phone. Diane. Maybe Lauren sent it. From his phone, maybe there's an explanation. There is. We just don't know what it is. She called him. Voicemail. She called again. I put my hand over the phone before she could try a third time. Let me. Why would he answer you? The question landed harder than she intended. Or maybe exactly as hard. I don't know. I took my own phone into the living room. The lamp beside my chair was on, and the newspaper I had left folded that morning waited on the end table, absurdly normal. I called Evan once more. 5 rings, then a click. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Dad, he said. There was traffic behind him, a horn, then the mechanical voice of a crosswalk signal I did not recognize. Where are you? He exhaled slowly. I knew you'd be the one who found out. Behind me, the kitchen chair scraped. Diane stood in the doorway, holding the back of it with both hands. Found out what? I asked, though the answer was sitting in an empty apartment 12 minutes away. Evan lowered his voice. We moved to Raleigh. Diane closed her eyes. 11 days ago? Yes. You told your mother not to start dinner without you. I know. Why? Another horn sounded. Evan said something muffled to someone near him, then came back to the phone. Dad, before you put me on speaker, I need you to listen to me. I looked at Diane. She was staring at the phone as if she could force his voice out where she could reach it. Then Evan said, Mom can't know where we are living. Not yet. I'm standing right here, Diane said. Evan went silent. I hadn't put him on speaker, but Diane's voice carried. It always had. She crossed the living room and held out her hand for my phone. Give it to me. Evan must have heard that too because he said, Dad, please don't. Don't what? I asked. Let your mother speak to you after you told her you were on your way to her house? I didn't say I was on my way. You told her not to start dinner. I know what I said. That makes one of us. Diane took the phone from me before I could decide whether to surrender it. She pressed the speaker button and set it on the coffee table. Hello, Evan. Hi, Mom. It was the smallest I had ever heard him sound. Not young. There was nothing boyish about it. He sounded like a grown man standing in a bad decision, with no clean direction out. Diane sat on the edge of the sofa. What did you have for dinner? I looked at her. What? Evan asked. Tonight. What did you eat? Mom, I don't, because I made the roast you like. The one from Bellini's, not the grocery store. Your father complained about the price, but I bought it anyway. I did not complain about the price, I said. Neither of them acknowledged me. We haven't eaten yet, Evan said. Neither have we. You told us to wait. I'm sorry. Are you? Yes. Then give me your address. Evan breathed into the phone. I can't do that right now. Can't or won't. Won't. There was a steadiness in that answer that hadn't been there before. Diane heard it too. Her shoulders pulled back. Is Lauren there? No. Where is she? At the new place. And where are you? I went out to pick up a few things. What things? Does that matter? It matters to me because apparently I no longer know anything about your life. For all I know, you're buying forks. We have forks. Well, that's a relief. I sat in my chair across from her. The phone lay between us, its little speaker turning our son into a voice without a body. Evan, I said, why did you leave without telling us? I did try to tell you. When? Last month. At dinner. I said Lauren and I were talking about making a change. Diane gave a short, unbelieving laugh. You said you were tired of your apartment. I said we were tired of feeling stuck. You also said the upstairs neighbor wore concrete shoes. He does. That is not telling your parents you're moving 500 miles away. Every time I got close to saying it, you started listing reasons we shouldn't go. I didn't know there was a go. You never let there be one. Diane's hand tightened on the edge of the cushion. I remembered that dinner. Chicken with lemon, Lauren unusually quiet, Evan talking about how much cheaper houses were in other places. Diane had told him houses were cheaper where nobody wanted to live. I had said there were worse problems than having family close by. Then I changed the subject to a crack in the driveway. At the time, it had felt like preventing an argument. You could have said the words, I told him. You're moving. Here is the date. Those are words. And then what? Then we would have known. No. Then we would have had 6 weeks of Mom crying, bargaining, calling Lauren, calling me at work, sending me listings for houses here, telling everybody at church before we were ready. I would not tell everybody at church. You told people when I changed dentists. That was different. Dr. Kessler asked about you. Mom, you don't hear yourself. And you do? You lied to me tonight. I panicked. For 11 days? He didn't answer. Diane picked up the phone and held it closer, as though the distance were caused by weak reception. Did you send that message before or after you knew I had started cooking? Mom, before or after? After. Her eyes filled, but her voice stayed dry and precise. So, you pictured me here. I didn't picture anything. You knew it was Sunday. You knew what time it was. You knew what I would be doing. Yes. And you sent it anyway. I said I was sorry. You said the words. I'm trying to determine whether they mean anything. Diane, I said quietly. She turned on me. No. He wanted to speak. Let him speak. I wanted Dad to listen. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot this was private. It was supposed to be. You moved away in secret and made the explanation private too. Very efficient. Evan's voice sharpened. This is exactly why. The room changed. Diane stared at the phone. Why what? She asked. Why I couldn't do it while I was there. Why I couldn't sit at that table and tell you. Everything turns into a trial where you ask questions until the answer becomes the one you wanted. You are not on trial. Then why am I defending what I ate for dinner? You haven't eaten. That's not the point. I know that. Do you? I leaned forward. Enough. That word used to work. I didn't raise my voice often, so when I did, people generally stopped. This time, they only redirected toward me. Diane said, tell him to give us his address. Evan said, tell her I'm not giving it to her. I am not a telephone exchange. You're the one who called. Because you disappeared. I moved. People who move tell their families where they went. Some people do. The traffic noise behind him faded. A door opened, then shut. He was inside somewhere now, maybe a store vestibule or his car. I pictured him under fluorescent lights in a place I had never seen, wearing the brown jacket he always left unzipped even in winter. Then I realized I didn't know whether he still owned that jacket. I had seen his empty closet. I knew less about my son's current belongings than Mrs. Alvarez did. What happened to your job? I asked. I transferred. You arranged that? Yes. When? In February. It was April. Diane made a sound like she had been struck. Lauren's work? I asked. She can do most of it remotely. She has to travel back twice a quarter, so this has been planned for 2 months. Closer to 3. And the apartment? We gave notice in February. Every answer moved the beginning farther back. The lie had not started 11 days ago. 11 days was only when the truck came. Who helped you pack? I asked. Some friends. What friends? Dad, I'm not giving you a list. Were they afraid I'd drive to Raleigh too? That's not what I meant. What did you mean? He sighed. I knew you'd tell Mom. Diane looked at me. I felt accused by both of them, and wasn't sure which accusation was fair. You didn't give me the opportunity to decide that, I said. Come on. No, don't come on me. You called me 9 days ago. We talked about your breaks, Lauren's breaks. That distinction doesn't improve anything. I wanted to tell you. But I knew what would happen. You'd get quiet. You'd say you understood. Then you'd ask me to give Mom a little time. You'd ask me not to make it final. You'd remind me what happened 2 years ago. Diane looked from the phone to me. What happened 2 years ago? He means the job, I said. The Colorado job? It was in Colorado Springs, Evan said. You turned that down because you didn't like the salary. I turned it down because the week I got the offer, Mom stopped eating. I had the flu. You did not have the flu. I lost 4 pounds. You kept making dinner. You just sat at the table and didn't touch yours. That is not why you turned it down. Evan laughed once without humor. Dad? I should have said something. I remembered standing with him in our garage while rain tapped on the aluminum door. He had held the offer on his phone, excited and scared. I told him Colorado was far. I told him his mother had been having a hard year. I told him jobs came and went, but family had to live with the decisions. I never said, turn it down. I had only arranged every sentence around the conclusion until he reached it himself. That was your choice, I said. I know. That's the part I'm trying not to repeat. Diane stood so quickly the coffee table shook. Do you hear him, Frank? This is our fault now. That's not what I said, Evan replied. It is exactly what you said. I said there's a pattern. Oh, good. A pattern. Lauren uses that word whenever she wants to make ordinary family life sound diseased. Leave Lauren out of it. She is my daughter-in-law. She left without saying goodbye. She wanted me to tell you. Diane stopped. It was the first thing he said that she hadn't prepared herself to fight. What? I asked. She said we should tell you before we left. I said no. Why? Diane asked. Because she wouldn't have to deal with what came after. I would. You still have to deal with it. From here. Diane's face went blank. She reached for the phone, but I got there first. Evan, your mother has faults. So do I. You don't get to use those faults as permission to be cruel. I know. Do you? I didn't do it to be cruel. You told her to wait for a dinner you were never coming to. I didn't know what else to send. The truth. I wasn't ready. The truth does not wait until you're ready. That's easy for you to say. No, it isn't. There was a pause. Then Evan said, I wasn't leaving her, Dad. Diane sank back onto the sofa. I was leaving the version of me that exists in that house. And every time I tried before, you helped her turn me back into him. The refrigerator motor came on in the kitchen. It hummed beneath the silence. I looked at Diane, but she wasn't looking at me. She stared at the untouched roll on Evan's plate in the next room. Give me your address, she said again, almost softly. No. When will you? I don't know. Are we supposed to pretend you don't exist until then? I'll call. When? Mom, please. When? Next Sunday. At 6? He hesitated. Yes. Diane nodded to herself. All right. The answer surprised all three of us. She picked up the phone and ended the call. For several seconds we sat without moving. Then she went into the kitchen, took the roast from under the foil, and began slicing it with hard, even strokes. Are we eating? I asked. I am putting it away. You haven't eaten all day. I had toast. At 8 this morning. I'm not hungry. She opened a plastic container, pressed the slices into it, and poured gravy over them. I stood beside the table and picked up Evan's roll. It was still warm in the middle. Diane slapped my hand. That's his. The words escaped her before she could stop them. We both looked at the plate. Then she snatched the roll from me, dropped it into the trash, and carried the plate to the sink. Did you know? She asked. No. Not that he moved. Did you know he felt that way? I thought about the garage 2 years earlier, the phone in Evan's hand, my careful sentences. I knew he was unhappy. With me? With things? That means yes. It means I didn't ask enough questions. She rinsed the plate, although it wasn't dirty. Did you agree with him? About what? About the person he becomes in this house. I reached for the dish towel. She wouldn't release the plate. Diane, do you agree? The honest answer was too large for the kitchen and too unfinished to survive being spoken. I think he should have told us, I said. Her mouth tightened. She handed me the wet plate. That wasn't what I asked. I dried the plate and put it in the cabinet. Diane turned off the kitchen light while I was still standing in the room. That was not unusual by itself. She was forever switching off lights behind me and saying we weren't operating an airport. What was unusual was that she left the dining room light on. Evan's fork, knife, glass, and napkin remained exactly where she had placed them. Only the plate was gone. She went upstairs without saying goodnight. I packed the roast into the refrigerator, covered the beans, and threw away the structural celery. Then I took the roll out of the trash. It had landed on top of a clean paper towel. I ate it over the sink, which felt both pathetic and defiant. Our bedroom door was closed. Diane never closed it unless she was changing clothes. I stood outside long enough to make my presence an announcement, then opened it. She was lying on her side with her back to me. Her blue blouse hung from the closet door, one sleeve turned inside out. The room smelled faintly of the rosewater lotion she rubbed into her hands every night. Did you call Rachel? I asked. No. Are you going to? No. That meant yes, but not while I was watching. I changed in the dark and got into bed. Diane moved half an inch closer to the edge. After a while, I said, He'll call next Sunday. He said he would. That's something. Is it? No. The word came out before I could improve it. She rolled onto her back. In the dim light from the hallway, I could see the shine on her eyes. I keep hearing him say it, she said. That version of himself. I know. What version? I don't know. You must. He said you helped me turn him into it. He was angry. People don't invent sentences like that while they're angry. They save them. I had no answer. She sat up and pulled the blanket around her waist. Was I really that terrible when he got the Colorado offer? You were upset. So was he. You stopped eating. I ate. You moved food around your plate. I had no appetite. Apparently that's emotional extortion now. I didn't call it that. He did. He said it affected his decision. Everything affects a decision. Weather affects a decision. Taxes affect a decision. Your knees affect where we sit at the movies. My knees have never rejected a job in Colorado. You know what I mean? Yes. She waited for me to say more. I wanted to tell her she had not forced Evan to do anything. That was technically true. Diane had never said, "If you leave, you will destroy me." She said things like, "I suppose we'll get used to an empty house," and "Your father isn't getting any younger," and "I hope the extra money keeps you company on Christmas." Then I translated, "She doesn't mean it that way. Give her time. You know how she gets." I had spent years turning pressure into concern, and concern into permission. "Go to sleep," Diane said. "You asked me, and you've answered." At 1:15, I woke to the white glow of her phone beside me. She was scrolling through old messages from Evan. She stopped at photographs, enlarged them, then moved backward through the years, as if the point at which he began leaving might be visible in his face. There he was holding a trout, standing beside Lauren at a winery, wearing the paper crown Diane made everyone wear one Christmas. He looked happy in some, irritated in others. Mostly he looked like Evan. "You'll make yourself crazy," I said. "I'm checking something." "What?" "Dates." She tapped a photograph of Evan and Lauren in our backyard, both wearing work gloves. "This was March 9th? Okay. He said they were cleaning out their storage unit that weekend. Maybe they did. He brought us those folding chairs. They were ours. They had borrowed them for 4 years. Why return them suddenly? I rubbed my eyes. Because they were moving. She flinched at the word. "I know that now, Frank. I'm sorry." "No, you're tired. I can be both." She kept scrolling. At 1:28, she found what she was looking for. It was not a message from Evan. It was a family photograph Rachel had sent after a Sunday dinner in late February. The 4 of us were around the table. Lauren had taken the picture. Diane enlarged Rachel's face. "What am I looking at?" "Her sweater. It's green. She left it here that night." "Did she?" "She came back for it on Tuesday. I asked why she needed it in such a hurry, and she said she was going to Erie for work. I waited. Evan is wearing it in another picture. That would be quite a fit. The box behind him." She swiped to a photograph Evan had sent me when asking whether I still had my socket set. He was kneeling beside Lauren's car. Behind him, near the garage wall, sat a cardboard box with green fabric sticking out of the top. It could have been anything. You think Rachel's sweater was at his place? I think Rachel went there before he moved. Rachel goes to his apartment. She told me she hadn't seen him in weeks. When? Last Sunday. I asked if she wanted to come for dinner, and she said she was tired. I told her Evan was coming, and she said she'd see him another time. Diane was no longer hurt. She was building something from the hurt, fitting pieces together until it had walls. "Call her tomorrow," I said. She pressed Rachel's name immediately. "Diane, it's 1:30. She stays up late." The call went to voicemail. Diane called again. "Leave her alone. I want to ask one question. You want to ask 30 questions in the shape of one." She stared at me. "You sound like him?" "No. I sound like a man who doesn't want both his children refusing to answer the phone. Our children answer me." I looked at the glowing screen between us. She set it face down. Rachel arrived at 9 the next morning, carrying a cardboard tray with 3 coffees and a white paper bag from the bakery near her apartment. She had our spare key but rang the bell. That told me more than the coffee. I was at the kitchen table in yesterday's clothes. Diane had showered, dressed, and put on lipstick. She looked prepared for company or combat. Rachel kissed my cheek. She started toward Diane, then stopped when Diane didn't move. "I brought almond croissants," she said. "Why?" Diane asked. "Because you called twice in the middle of the night and then sent me a message that said, Call me immediately, followed by a period. I always use punctuation, not in texts. In texts, you write like a person being chased. Rachel attempted a smile. Nobody joined her. She was 38 and had inherited Diane's talent for making a room feel crowded without raising her voice. From me, she got the tendency to repair whatever was nearest when she didn't want to talk. She set down the coffees, noticed a cabinet hinge was loose, and touched it twice. "What happened?" she asked. Diane pulled out a chair. "Sit. Why are you dressed like a loan officer?" "Rachel." "All right." She sat. I pushed a coffee toward Diane. She didn't take it. "Your brother moved to Raleigh," Diane said. Rachel looked at me. It was quick, less than a second. But she looked at me before she looked surprised. "Raleigh?" she said. Diane leaned back. That was almost convincing. "I don't know what you want me to say. The truth would be refreshing." Rachel pressed her palms around the coffee cup. "Did Evan tell you?" "His neighbor did." "Oh, not..." "What neighbor? Not when? Just... oh." Diane's voice softened. "How long have you known?" Rachel looked at me again. "Don't," Diane said. "He can't help you. I'm not asking him to. You keep looking at him. Because you're looking at me like you want to peel my skin off. I asked you a question." Rachel drew a breath. "Since February." Diane nodded once. "You knew before they gave notice?" "I knew they were thinking about it." "Did you help them pack?" Silence. Rachel: "Yes." I had expected it by then, but expectation did not soften it. "What did you do?" I asked. "Mostly the kitchen. Lauren had to finish a project, and Evan packs glassware like he's angry at it." "When?" "Different days." "Were you there when the truck came?" "No." "I drove down the next morning with their plants and some things they didn't trust on the truck." "You drove to North Carolina," Diane said. "Yes, you know where they live." Rachel looked at her coffee. "Give me the address." "I can't." "You can." "You have chosen not to." "Evan asked me not to." "I am your mother, and he's my brother. I'm not asking you to choose between us. That is exactly what you're doing." Diane stood. "I want to send him a letter. You have his phone number. He doesn't answer. He answered last night, didn't he?" That stopped Diane. "How did you know?" "I didn't. I assumed." "You talked to him." Rachel didn't answer quickly enough. "When?" Diane asked. "This morning, before coming here?" "He called me." "Of course he did. He wanted to know how bad it was." Diane laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tell him the roast survived, Mom. Tell him I put it in a container. Tell him his father ate a roll from the trash." Rachel looked at me. "It was on a paper towel," I said. She covered her face with one hand. For half a second she laughed. It escaped before she could stop it, a small snort that sounded exactly like she had at 16. Diane stared at her. "I'm sorry," Rachel said. "I'm not laughing at you. You are all laughing at me. You just do it after I leave the room. Nobody is laughing at you. You planned this together. I didn't plan anything. Evan made his decision. I helped him. And lied to us? I didn't tell you. That is lying when you sit at my table every week. I haven't been here every week. No, you've been avoiding me." Rachel looked down. Diane turned to me. "Say something." There it was, my assignment. Make Rachel admit she was wrong without allowing Diane to go too far. Make Diane feel defended without making Rachel feel attacked. Leave everyone angry enough to be honest, but not angry enough to leave. I had done it so often I could have performed it half asleep. "Rachel," I began, "you should have." She looked at me with tired certainty. "Dad, don't." "Don't what?" "Do the thing where you agree with Mom just enough to calm her down, then call me later and explain what she really meant." Diane folded her arms. "I wasn't going to do that. Yes, you were. You don't know what I was going to say. I know what you always say." She pushed back from the table and stood. "If Evan told you," I said, "I would have had to decide what to do." Rachel picked up her coat. "No, Dad. You would have told her. You're certain of that?" "Yes." "Why?" Her expression softened, which made the answer worse. "Because you always choose whatever keeps her calm." She left the croissants untouched and walked out. Diane stood beside the table, very still. Then she looked at me. "Well," she said, "is she right?" I looked at the door Rachel had just closed. Sometimes, I said. Diane's chin lifted. Sometimes what? Sometimes I choose whatever keeps you calm. The refrigerator hummed. On the counter, the coffee Rachel brought gave off 3 thin trails of steam. Diane pulled out the chair and sat again. Because I'm unreasonable. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I do it with everyone. I try to settle things. No. Settling something would mean it gets resolved. You make it quiet. I reached for my coffee. It was Rachel's, black with 1 sugar. I drank it anyway. What would you like me to say? The truth. I just told you the truth. No, you admitted to a charge. That's not the same thing. She pushed my coffee toward me, even though it was already in my hand. Then she took the remaining cup from the tray, removed the lid, and frowned into it. They put vanilla in this. She probably ordered your usual. My usual doesn't have vanilla. Your usual has had vanilla since last summer. No, it hasn't. I decided not to argue. Diane saw the decision happen. That, she said, pointing at me with the cup. Right there. What? You think I'm wrong, but you won't say it because it doesn't matter enough to you. It's coffee. It's always coffee until it's Colorado. I set the cup down. She picked up an almond croissant, tore off 1 corner, and put it in her mouth. It was the first thing she had eaten since toast the day before. You asked if Rachel was right, I said. Most of the time, yes. When you're upset, I look for the quickest way to make the room easier. For whom? For everyone. For you. The answer sat there between us. Diane wiped powdered sugar from her thumb. You act like you've been protecting me all these years. I thought I was. You were protecting yourself from having a difficult wife. That's not fair, isn't it? You get to be the calm one. You stand there with that patient face while I become the storm. Everybody has to wait out. I never called you a storm. You don't call anything anything. That's how you stay innocent. She was angry enough that her cheeks had gone pale. I had seen Diane cry in frustration, throw a wooden spoon into a sink, and once walk 3 miles home from a wedding because I said we would leave after 1 more drink and then stayed for 2. I had never heard her talk about my calmness as if it were a weapon. You wanted them at dinner too, she said. Of course I did. Did you ever ask them to come? It was understood. By whom? I could not remember the last time I had called Evan and said, I want to see you. I asked if he could look at the mower. I asked whether Lauren was bringing dessert. I asked what time they would arrive because his mother wanted to know. Diane leaned back. You let me do all the wanting. Then when I wanted too much, you explained me to everybody. That isn't what I meant to do. I'm beginning to think what people mean is the least useful thing about them. She carried her coffee upstairs. I remained at the table with the loose cabinet hinge directly behind me. Rachel had noticed it, which meant I noticed it now. I got my screwdriver from the basement, tightened both screws, tested the door, then loosened one because it no longer lined up correctly. The job took 4 minutes. I spent 20 on it. The house had the Sunday after feeling, even though it was Monday. Covered dishes in the refrigerator. A serving spoon soaking in the sink. 4 almond croissants where people should have been. I called Rachel. She answered on the second ring. If you're calling to explain what Mom meant, I can't do that right now. I'm not. A car door closed on her end. She had probably reached work but hadn't gone inside. I shouldn't have laughed about the role, she said. It was funny. It wasn't. It was a little funny, she sighed. Is she all right? No. Are you? I haven't decided. Dad, I'm angry with you, I know. You helped your brother leave without telling us. I know what I did. You didn't think I deserved to know? I thought you'd tell Mom. You've mentioned that. Because you would have. Maybe. Not maybe. I stood at the counter and looked at the repaired hinge. You could have asked me. And then what? Make you keep a secret from your wife? That would have been worse. Convenient for you to decide. It wasn't convenient. It was awful. Yet you did it. Because when Evan had the Colorado offer, you went to his apartment and talked to him for 2 hours. He asked me to come. He asked you what you thought. You spent 2 hours telling him what Mom thought. He made his own decision. I know. He regrets it. That doesn't make it mine. No. But you helped him make it, and now he knows not to ask for your help. I opened the cabinet, then shut it. Did you tell him not to disappear? Yes. Then why help? Because he was going either way. You could have refused. I almost did. What changed your mind? She was quiet long enough that I heard a truck pass behind her. Lauren called me, she said. She was packing the kitchen alone because Evan kept finding reasons to go out. Tape, more boxes, something for the car. She said he was barely sleeping. She thought he was going to back out, so you made sure he didn't. I made sure Lauren didn't have to carry dishes and his panic at the same time. There was no answer that didn't choose a side. Do you have his address? I asked. Yes. Your mother is going to keep asking. I know. What do you want me to tell her? Rachel's voice hardened. Nothing. Tell her what you think. Tell me what you think. Stop passing us pieces of each other like notes in class. I'm not doing that. You called me after she and I fought. I called because I wanted to. Then tell me something you want. The question embarrassed me. That made me angry. I want both my children to stop treating me like an employee. Rachel didn't speak. I want Evan to answer his phone. I want you to come back and finish the conversation you walked out of. And I want your mother to eat something without making it a referendum on whether anybody loves her. All right. All right, what? I heard you. That was all. No defense, no accusation. It left me with nowhere to put the rest of the speech I had been preparing. I have to go inside, she said. I'll call Mom tonight. Don't do it because I said to. I'm doing it because I want to. She hung up. Diane did not come down for lunch. At 2, I took half a croissant upstairs on a plate. The bedroom door was open, but she was sitting at her vanity writing in a birthday card. Whose birthday? Marjorie Pike. That's not until June. I know. She sealed the envelope. You going to mail it now? I'm getting ahead. Diane only got ahead when the present was intolerable. After her father died, she reorganized the linen closet during the funeral lunch. Rachel says she'll call tonight. You called her, yes. To smooth things over, to tell her I was angry. And then smooth things over. No. We left them rough. That got her attention. What did she say? She said she knew what she did. Did you ask for the address? Yes. Did she give it to you? No. Diane put the card in her desk drawer. You didn't push? No. Why not? Because she said no. I say no all the time. You push me. You've accused me for years of giving in to you. I'm accusing you of giving in to everyone else. I can't win this conversation. That's why you shouldn't treat conversations like things you win. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it sounded like advice I might have given someone else. Diane looked at me with tired disgust. I want to write to him. You have his number. I don't want to send a text. Texts make everything look casual. Then write it. And send it where? I don't know. She turned back to the vanity mirror. Rachel does. That evening, Rachel called. I stayed in the living room while Diane took the call in the kitchen. At first I heard only low voices. Then Diane said, I am not asking permission to love my own son, loud enough to cross both rooms. Rachel left before 9. She had come in through the front door and gone out through the garage, avoiding me both ways. Diane told me nothing about the conversation. She made scrambled eggs, ate half, and put the rest away. The days leading to Sunday developed a shape. Diane did not call Evan again, but she checked her phone every few minutes. She bought groceries on Thursday and claimed they were for us. On Friday, I found a 3-pound roast in the refrigerator. We don't need that much, I said. It was on sale. On Saturday, she ironed the blue blouse. At 5:30 Sunday evening, she set 2 places at the table. Then she stood looking at them and added a third. He's calling, she said before I could ask. At 6, I know what time he's calling. At 5:58, Diane sat with her phone in front of her. I sat across from the empty place. There was no roast, only grilled cheese and tomato soup. But she had folded Evan's napkin the way he liked, with the silverware inside. At 6, the phone did not ring. At 6:05, she reheated the soup. At 6:12, she sent one message. We are here. At 6:17, the phone rang. Evan apologized. He said they had been assembling shelves and lost track of time. Diane asked whether the shelves were in the living room or bedroom. He said the office. She asked if the apartment had an office. He said it had 2 bedrooms. Every harmless detail became a struggle between information and access. Lauren came on the call. She sounded careful and ashamed. I'm sorry we left the way we did, she said. Diane replied, You didn't. Evan did. No, Lauren said. We both got in the car. That answer seemed to reach Diane in a place accusation had not. They spoke for 23 minutes. Nobody mentioned the address. Nobody mentioned the message that had made us wait. When the call ended, Diane cleared all 3 places without comment. 10 minutes later, My phone buzzed. It was Evan. I need a favor. Please don't tell Mom. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Diane was in the kitchen running water over the soup bowls. I could see the back of her gray sweater through the doorway. I typed, "What favor?" The 3 dots appeared immediately. "Lauren left a red notebook at your house. Mom borrowed it around Christmas. It belonged to Lauren's grandmother. Can you give it to Rachel so she can mail it?" I knew the notebook. It was thick, bound in cracked red leather, with loose cards and newspaper clippings sticking out between the pages. Lauren had brought it over when Diane wanted the recipe for a peach chutney she served at Thanksgiving. "Why can't Lauren ask her?" I wrote. The dots appeared, vanished, then appeared again. "Because Mom will turn it into a conversation." I read that twice. From the kitchen, Diane said, "Are you coming in here or admiring your reflection?" "Neither." "Then bring the glasses." I carried our water glasses to the sink. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. "Please, Dad. Just this once." That was the phrase people used when they had forgotten every previous once. Diane took a glass from me. "Who is it?" "Evan." Her hands stopped under the running water. "What does he want?" I took out my phone and showed her. She read the messages without touching the screen. Her face changed when she reached "because Mom will turn it into a conversation." "I see," she said. "Do you know where the notebook is?" "Yes." "Can we give it to Rachel?" "We can give it to Lauren, through Rachel." "No. Lauren can ask me. She's asking through Evan. Who is asking through you?" "That is what I'm trying to avoid." Diane turned off the water, then avoided. She dried her hands and left the room. I followed her into the dining room. She opened the bottom drawer of the china cabinet and removed the red notebook from beneath a stack of linen placemats. "You keep it in there?" I was protecting it. From what? Kitchen grease. The notebook was held shut by a faded elastic band. Diane placed it on the table but kept her palm on top. "Did she forget it?" I asked. "She said I could keep it until I copied what I wanted. That was 4 months ago. I haven't finished. How many recipes are in it? Hundreds. How many do you want? I don't know until I read them." I held out my hand. She looked at it. "You're going to take it without letting her speak to me. I'm going to give it to Rachel. Then you've chosen. I have chosen to return something that doesn't belong to us." "You make it sound like I stole it." "I didn't say that." "No, you used your careful voice." "What careful voice?" "The one that allows you to say something insulting and then object when I hear it." I sat down. "Evan asked me not to tell you." "But you did." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I'm done being used to carry secrets between rooms." The sentence surprised me as I said it. Diane took her hand off the notebook. "You're done," she repeated. "With that, yes." "Since when?" "Since everybody decided I was responsible for what everybody else could handle." She pulled out the chair across from me and sat. "Are you angry at me or him?" "Both." "That's convenient." "It doesn't feel convenient." My phone buzzed again. "Dad?" Diane saw the name light up. "Answer him," I called instead of texting. Evan picked up at once. "Did you find it?" "I found it." "Great. Can you? Your mother is here?" He let out a breath. "Dad." "I'm not hiding this from her. I wasn't asking you to lie. You wrote, 'Don't tell Mom.' I was asking for discretion. That's a necktie word for lying." Across the table, Diane almost smiled. Evan said, "Can you give the notebook to Rachel, or not?" "Yes," Diane said loudly. "He can." Silence. "Mom? Hello again? I wasn't trying to upset you. You were trying not to deal with whether I was upset. There's a difference. I need the notebook back. It isn't yours. It's Lauren's. Then Lauren can call me. She doesn't want to get in the middle of this. She packed a kitchen and moved to another state. She is not outside this." I put the phone on speaker. "Evan, I'll give it to Rachel tomorrow. Thank you. But don't ask me to do something behind your mother's back again." I didn't know what else to do. "You could ask her directly. And spend 40 minutes explaining why we need it? You've spent longer avoiding the explanation." Diane pulled the elastic band from the notebook and began flipping through it. The pages were covered in several kinds of handwriting: blue loops, black block letters, pencil notes fading at the edges. Some recipes had names: Aunt Ruth's biscuits, Helen's beans, Tuesday cake. "Is Lauren there?" she asked. "No. Does she know you asked for it?" "Yes." "Does she know you told your father to keep it from me?" Another pause. "No." Diane looked at me. Call us back with her, she said. Mom, this does not need to be a family meeting. Then she can call me herself. I'm trying to make one simple thing simple. No, you're trying to make people simple. Your father delivers, Rachel conceals, Lauren stays out of it. I hand over the object and have no reaction anyone has to acknowledge. Do you hear how you're talking about a cookbook? It is not a cookbook, her grandmother wrote in it. That is why we want it back. Diane closed the notebook. Tomorrow, I said. Rachel gets it tomorrow. Fine, fine, Diane replied. Neither of them sounded finished, but Evan ended the call. Diane remained seated. She reopened the notebook to a page near the middle and touched a grease stain with one finger. I would have returned it, she said. I know. I wasn't holding it hostage. I didn't say you were. He thinks I would. He thinks everything comes with a conversation. Things do come with conversations. That's what happens when people are connected. Sometimes a notebook can just be a notebook. Is that what you believe? I'm starting to. She turned the book around and pushed it toward me. At the top of the open page, in Lauren's handwriting, were the words, Diane liked this one, less vinegar. She made that note here, Diane said, at this table. I remember the afternoon. Lauren and Diane cooked, while Evan and I replaced the weather, stripping around the back door. The chutney smelled so sharp, it made our eyes water from 2 rooms away. Lauren kept adding brown sugar when Diane wasn't looking. Diane kept adding vinegar when Lauren turned her back. They had laughed all afternoon. She could have asked me, Diane said. Yes, I would have put it in a box, yes. I might have included a letter. Probably. That isn't a crime. No. I'm allowed to have something to say. You are. Then why is everybody afraid of me saying it? I looked at the red notebook, the loose recipes jutting from its edges like uneven teeth. Because sometimes what you have to say becomes the price of getting anything from you. She recoiled slightly. I wished I could pull the sentence back and examine it before she heard it. But that was the old instinct again, edit, soften, translate. Diane fastened the elastic around the notebook. Take it, she said. I can wait until morning. Take it now. Where? I don't care. Put it in your truck. Put it in the garage. Eat it over the sink. I said I'd give it to Rachel. And you always do what you say. She went upstairs. I left the notebook on the dining table. At 8 the next morning, it was gone. For one irrational second, I thought Diane had hidden it. Then I found it on the hall table beside my keys, wrapped in brown paper and tied with cooking string. She had written Lauren across the front in black marker. There was no letter attached. I took it to Rachel's office during her lunch break. She worked for an insurance company in a low brick building near the interstate, where the lobby had gray chairs designed to discourage people from sitting too long. Rachel came down wearing black slacks and one of the loose cardigans Diane was always telling her made her look tired. You didn't have to bring it here, she said. Your mother wanted it out of the house. Did she open it? She already had it open. She was copying recipes. You know what I mean. No, I don't. Rachel looked at the package. Did she put anything inside? I didn't check. She could have put a letter in it. She could have put a live ferret in it. I'm still not opening someone else's package. Despite herself, Rachel smiled. Where would she get a ferret? Your mother has resources. I handed her the notebook. She turned it over, checking the string. You told her, she said. Yes. After Evan specifically asked you not to. Yes. Was that necessary? For me, it was. Rachel's smile disappeared. Then you made her part of it. She was already part of it. The notebook was in her cabinet. I mean, you made it emotional. Your brother made it emotional when he asked me to sneak something out of my own house. He knew she'd react. She reacted because he knew she'd react. I'm getting tired of that circle. Rachel held the package against her chest. I told him not to ask you, she said. Why did he? Because Lauren wants it and she's angry with him. About the notebook? About the way he left. I leaned against the gray lobby wall. I thought they left together. They did. That doesn't mean they agree about how. Lauren wanted him to tell us. Yes, and he refused. Yes. Yet she got in the car. Rachel looked toward the glass entrance doors. She said she wasn't going to make their marriage depend on whether he could survive one more dinner at your house. The doors opened, letting in the sound of traffic. Is that how he described it? I don't know. Those were her words. Survive. Dad. He ate pot roast once a week. We weren't putting him in the mines. It wasn't the roast. I know it wasn't the roast, my voice carried. A receptionist glanced up from behind the desk. Rachel lowered hers. Lauren thinks he should have told you. She also thinks if they had announced it, Mom would have spent 6 weeks punishing them for leaving. Your mother would have been upset. For 6 weeks. That doesn't justify what he did. I didn't say it did. No one says it does. Then everyone explains why it does. Rachel shifted the package to her other arm. What do you want me to do? She asked. I want you to give that to Lauren. I will. And tell Evan I won't carry another secret for him. You should tell him yourself. She was right. I nodded. As I turned to leave, Rachel said, Dad? I looked back. Mom asked me for the address again last night. What did you say? No. Good. She asked if I would drive her there. The lobby seemed to get quieter around us. What did you say? Rachel looked down at Lauren's name written across the brown paper. I didn't answer. Then answer her, I said. Rachel looked up. What do you want me to say? The truth. That I know where he lives and I won't take her there? If that's your decision. You know what she'll do. I know what she might do. I also know I'm not going to explain it for either of you. She studied me as if I had begun speaking with a foreign accent. You're serious? Yes. Since when? Apparently since people started asking. The receptionist glanced at the clock. Rachel tucked the package under one arm. I have to go back upstairs. Call your mother. I will. Not because I told you. Stop saying that. Then stop making me tell you. I left before we could turn the conversation into another circle. In the parking lot, Evan called. I watched his name flash across the dashboard screen while I backed out. When it rang again before I reached the exit, I pulled into an empty space and answered. Did Rachel get the notebook? He asked. Yes. Was there anything in it? I didn't open it. Mom didn't put a letter inside? I don't know. You gave it to Rachel without checking? It belongs to Lauren, you know what I mean. I do, and that's the problem, he sighed. I'm not trying to make you the bad guy. No, you're trying to make me the hallway. Everybody passes through, but nobody has to look at me. That's dramatic. Your mother is rubbing off on me. He laughed before he could stop himself. It sounded good, familiar. Then we both remembered we were angry. I'm sorry, he said, for laughing, for asking you to get the notebook. You're sorry you asked, or sorry I told her. Both. That's progress. Dad, I just wanted Lauren's property back. And your mother gave it back, after a whole thing. You created the thing. I asked one favor. You asked me to hide something from my wife while you hid your home from both of us. It's not the same. No, yours has better weather. He let out another reluctant laugh, then went quiet. Lauren's angry with me, he said. So Rachel mentioned. Of course she did. She didn't give me details. She thinks I should give Mom the address. Lauren, yes. Do you? No. The answer came fast. Why? Because Mom will show up. She asked Rachel to drive her. I knew it. You knew before I did. See? That doesn't make disappearing right. I'm not saying it does. You keep saying that right before explaining why it does. He was quiet. I watched a woman push a shopping cart across the lot, leaning her weight into it against the wind. Your mother asked Rachel last night, I said. Rachel hasn't answered. She needs to say no. She needs to decide for herself. Dad, come on. You know what happens when people leave Mom an opening. Then close your own opening. Tell her directly. I told her I'm not giving her the address. You also promised to call at 6 and called at 6:17. We were putting together shelves. Your mother spent those 17 minutes imagining you dead, angry, or gone again. That's not normal. It is normal for her. That doesn't mean the rest of us have to organize our lives around it, but it does mean you know what you're doing when you make a promise. I lost track of time, then apologized without making her reaction the reason you did it. He didn't speak for several seconds. You sound different, he said. I'm tired. No, different. I'll let you know when I understand it. I ended the call before either of us could ask for something else. At home, Diane was at the dining table with a road atlas open to North Carolina. We owned the atlas because she did not trust phones to know where they were. It was 11 years old and still showed restaurants that had become banks. A yellow legal pad sat beside it. She had written Pittsburgh to Raleigh, 8 hours 10 minutes at the top. You asked Rachel to drive you, I said. She put down her pen. She told you. Yes. What else did she tell you that she didn't answer? I took that to mean she was considering it. You took silence to mean yes? I took it to mean she hadn't said no. Those are not the same thing. I know that, Frank. Do you? She closed the atlas. I want to see where my son lives. He doesn't want you to. He doesn't know what he wants. He planned to move for 3 months. He also lied to us for 11 days. I'm not treating his judgment as sacred. Showing up would prove every fear he has about telling you. What about my fears? What are they? She stood and pushed the chair in. That he is unhappy. That Lauren pressured him. That he'll lose the job. That he'll need us and be too proud to call. That this is the beginning of seeing him twice a year until twice becomes once and once becomes a Christmas card. He's 34. Thank you. I know how old my son is. He can be unhappy without us driving 8 hours to correct it. I don't want to correct it. What do you want to do when you get there? See him. And if he won't open the door, he'll open it. How do you know? Because I'm his mother. The answer was not arrogant. It was worse. It was sincere. I leaned against the table. Ask him to invite you. He'll say no. Then you have your answer. No, then I have fear, pretending to be an answer. You don't get to decide which of his no's count. She looked at me for a long time. Would you come with me? If he invited us. That's not what I asked. No. Her lips parted. I won't drive to a home whose address he hid from us, I said. I won't stand on his doorstep and help you force a conversation. Force? Yes. I waited here while he lied to me. And now I would be forcing him. Both things can be wrong. That's very balanced of you. It isn't balance. I'm angry with him. I'm also saying no to you. She folded the atlas and carried it into the den. The legal pad remained behind with the route time circled twice. Rachel called at 4. Diane took the call upstairs. I stayed in the garage changing the air filter in her car, though it had another 1,000 miles in it. When she came down, she stood in the doorway holding her keys. She said no, Diane told me. Rachel, she won't drive me. I'm sorry. Are you? Yes. You agree with her. I can agree and still know it hurts. Diane stepped into the garage. You've all learned excellent sentences. What does that mean? It means nobody has to feel cruel if they say things correctly. She got into her car. Where are you going? To the grocery store. We have food. I need coffee. We have coffee. With vanilla, apparently. She shut the door. I watched her back out. For a moment, I considered following her. Not because I thought she was going to Raleigh. She didn't have the address, and she would never start an 8-hour drive with half a tank of gas. I wanted to make sure she went where she said. The urge shamed me enough that I went back inside. She returned with coffee, milk, 3 magazines, and a bright yellow pot of daffodils. She put the flowers on the kitchen windowsill and did not mention the atlas again. The notebook reached Raleigh on Thursday. Lauren called our house that evening. I answered, and she asked to speak to Diane. Diane took the phone into the dining room, but did not close the door. I could hear only her side at first. You're welcome? No, I didn't copy all of them. Yes, I saw that. A pause. You don't owe me an explanation for wanting your own property. Another pause. You might owe me one for leaving. Her voice remained calm. She sat at the table, running one finger along a scratch in the wood. I moved close enough to hear Lauren's voice through the receiver, though not every word. I told him we should tell you, Lauren said. So I've heard. I should have called you myself. Yes. I kept thinking Evan would do it. So did I. I'm sorry. Diane closed her eyes. Are you happy there? The question held none of her usual hooks. No complaint, no reminder, no invitation to regret. Lauren seemed surprised too. I think we will be, she said. The apartment is still a mess. Is it nice? It's bright. Too bright. Evan keeps saying we need curtains and then buying shelves. Diane smiled despite herself. He likes putting things on things. He does? Is he happy? Lauren hesitated. He's relieved. That isn't the same. No. Are you angry with him? I'm not discussing my marriage with his mother. Good answer. Lauren laughed softly. For a few minutes they talked like themselves. Lauren described the red clay that tracked into the apartment. Diane told her how to remove it from carpet. Lauren promised to send a photograph of the chutney recipe after Diane admitted she had copied the wrong quantity of cloves. Then Diane asked, "Will you give me your address?" The warmth vanished so quickly I felt it from the doorway. I can't do that without Evan agreeing, Lauren said. You live there too. That's why it has to be both of us. I see. I'm sorry. You've said that. The call ended politely. Diane remained at the table. I waited until she looked at me. She talked to you? I said. She retrieved her notebook. She didn't have to call. No, that meant something. Yes. I sat across from her. She traced the scratch in the table again. Evan had made it at 16 by dragging a stereo component across the wood after I told him to lift it. For years, Diane kept a runner over the mark. That night, it was exposed. If I got the address, she said, would you go with me? Only if they invited us. She nodded, not because she accepted the answer, but because she had measured it. And if I went without you? I looked at the road atlas sticking out from beneath her chair. Then you'd be going alone. Diane's fingers stopped on the scratch. You'd let me drive all that way by myself. You are capable of driving. That isn't the point. I know. Do you? Yes. You want me beside you, because if Evan gets angry, it becomes something we did together. She pulled her hand from the table. That is an ugly thing to say. It may still be true, and this new version of you is very proud of saying true things. No, he's terrified. She looked at me then. Really looked. I had not meant to admit that. I had been afraid since the empty apartment. Afraid of losing Evan, afraid of losing Rachel, afraid that Diane and I would reach the end of the argument and discover nothing underneath except all the things we had avoided saying. Of what? She asked. I don't know yet. That's convenient. It isn't. She took the atlas upstairs. For 3 days we lived politely. Diane asked whether I wanted eggs. I asked whether she needed gas in her car. We discussed rain, a loose gutter, and the neighbor's dog digging beneath our fence. Each subject sat between us like a small neutral country. On Saturday afternoon, Rachel came over without calling. She wore jeans and carried nothing. No coffee, no croissants, no object to repair. She walked into the living room, took off her coat, and remained standing. I gave Mom the address, she said. Diane was on the sofa folding towels. She did not look up. I put down the gutter estimate I had been pretending to read. Why? Because I'm not doing this anymore. Doing what? Being the person who knows where my brother lives and decides which parent is emotionally safe enough to have the information. Diane folded a hand towel into exact thirds. I didn't ask you to decide that. You asked me 11 times. Not 11, I counted. That sounds healthy. Rachel looked at me. I called Evan first. I told him I was giving it to both of you. How did he take that? I asked. He was furious. Diane's hands paused. But he didn't tell you not to? I asked. He did. I told him he could move without permission, and I could stop keeping his secret without permission. Something almost like approval moved through me. Lauren agreed, Rachel added. She said hiding the address was making everything worse. Did she invite us? Diane asked. No. Then why give it? Because an address is not an invitation. It's information. Diane placed the folded towel on the stack. Exactly. Rachel caught the word. No, Mom. What? Don't exactly me. I told you on the phone that giving you the address did not mean you should go there. I heard you. You said you wanted to mail a letter. I do. Then mail one. You don't trust me. I love you. That isn't the same thing. Diane stood with the towels in her arms. Where did you write it? Rachel nodded toward the kitchen. On the pad by the phone. Thank you. Mom? I said thank you. She carried the towels upstairs. Rachel waited until we heard the bedroom door close. I shouldn't have done that, she said. You just explained why you did. That doesn't mean I should have. Welcome to the family. She sat in Diane's chair and pressed her palms against her knees. Evan said if she shows up, he won't open the door. Then he needs to tell her that. He tried. No, he told you. He told me to tell both of you. I pointed upstairs. She's available. Rachel rubbed her forehead. Dad, can you please just make sure she doesn't go? No. Her hands dropped. What? I won't help her go. I also won't lock her in the basement. I'm asking you to talk to her. I already have. Talk harder. Listen to yourself. I know, okay? I know this is what we do. But if she goes down there, it'll blow everything up. Then call her and say that. She'll say I betrayed her by giving the address. Maybe you did. I told her not to go. You gave information to somebody you didn't trust with it because you were tired of holding it. That may have consequences. Rachel stared at me. You really are done helping. I am trying to stop doing the kind that makes everyone helpless. She stood. That sounds like something you practiced. I wish. At the front door, she turned back. For what it's worth, I don't think Mom is some monster. I know. I think she's hurt. So is Evan. So are you. That one surprised me. Rachel put on her coat. That's what makes this so irritating. After she left, I went into the kitchen. The yellow legal pad was gone. I found it that night beneath a stack of mail in the den. Diane had torn off the top sheet. On the next page, the pressure of her pen had left faint grooves. I could see an R, a set of numbers, and the shape of a street name without being able to read it. I did not shade the page with a pencil like a detective. I wanted credit for that. At 5:30 the next morning, I woke to the sound of our garage door opening. Diane's side of the bed was empty. I went downstairs in my undershirt and found her loading a cooler into the back of her car. She had packed the cargo area so neatly it looked prepared for inspection. There were 2 suitcases, a canvas bag of linens, a grocery box filled with jars, crackers, coffee, and the roast she had bought on sale. Beside it sat a carton of framed photographs. I recognized the carton. Evan had brought it to our house in March, along with the folding chairs. He said they were tired of storing things they never displayed. At the time, Diane had complained that young people wanted bare walls like waiting rooms. Now she knew he had been clearing his apartment before the move. You packed my suitcase, I said. Diane closed the hatch. I packed clothes. My clothes. We need to leave by 6. No. She walked around me toward the kitchen door. I opened the hatch again and pulled out the smaller suitcase. Frank? I said no. You also said you wouldn't drive me. You didn't say you wouldn't come. I stared at her. What do you imagine coming means? We'll drive. We'll stop for lunch. We'll stay at the Hampton Inn near their apartment. I made a reservation. We will call when we arrive. And when he says not to come over, he'll have 8 hours to calm down. Put my suitcase back in the house. She reached for it. I kept my hand on the handle. You're being childish. You packed my clothes while I was asleep, because if I asked, you would say no. Yes, that is what no means. Her eyes flashed. I am not asking you to break into his home. I am asking my husband to stand beside me while I see my son. I will stand beside you while you call him. I will stand beside you while he's angry. I will not stand on a doorstep where we were told not to come. You don't know what he would say because you haven't asked. Call him now. It's 5:30 in the morning. You were willing to arrive at his home uninvited, but a phone call is intrusive? I was going to call from the hotel, after you made the trip impossible to ignore. She held out her hand for the suitcase. Give it to me. No, you are not the only person who gets to change. This isn't change. This is the same thing with luggage. Her face crumpled for 1 second. Then anger pulled it back into place. You think I'm controlling. I think you are hurt and about to do something that will let everyone ignore the hurt and talk only about what you did, like you are. I am looking at a car you packed in secret. I packed food. I pack sheets because hotel sheets make you itch. I packed the blue shirt you like and the pills you forget when you're upset. I was thinking of you. You were arranging me? I am your wife. I am not one more thing that goes in the car. She stepped back. The garage was cold enough that I could see our breath. Behind her, a jar of pasta sauce rolled gently inside the grocery box and tapped the glass beside it. What am I supposed to do? She asked. It was the first honest question of the morning. Call him. He'll say no, then hear him. I have heard him. He left. Then tell him what that did to you without driving down there to make him watch. You make everything sound so easy. It isn't easy. That's why you keep trying to force the ending. She looked toward the car. If I go alone, will you tell him? Yes. So you're choosing him. No. I'm choosing not to help either of you ambush the other. You told him the truth matters even when someone isn't ready. Why doesn't that apply to him seeing me? Because truth can be spoken on a phone. Your body on his doorstep is not truth. It is pressure. She took the car keys from her pocket and squeezed them in her fist. I needed you, she said. You needed me to make this harder for him to refuse. I needed my husband. I have spent years standing beside you while disappearing from my own life. The words echoed off the garage walls. Diane went completely still. I had not known I believed them until I heard them. She opened her hand. The keys had left red marks in her palm. Is that what our marriage feels like to you? Sometimes. Just sometimes. Yes. In all these years, did you ever think to mention it? No. Why? Because I knew how hurt you would be. She laughed once harshly. So you hid the truth from me because you were managing my reaction. I had no defense. She nodded. At least Evan comes by it honestly. My phone began ringing inside the house. We both knew who it was. Rachel must have warned him, or Evan had woken with the same dread that had been living in our rooms. The ringing stopped, then started again. Answer it, Diane said. You answer. He called you. I carried my suitcase into the house. Diane followed as far as the kitchen. Evan's voice came fast when I picked up. Is she coming? No. Behind me, Diane closed her eyes. Rachel said, Mom packed the car. She did. Then how do you know? Because I'm not going, and your mother is still here. You need to stop her. No. Dad. She can hear you. Diane opened her eyes. Evan lowered his voice anyway. You know what she'll do. I know what she may do. You need to speak to her. I am speaking to you. That's the problem. I held the phone out. Diane looked at it for a long moment, then took it. Hello, Evan. Mom, please don't come. Her face changed as he said it. Not dramatically, it seemed to empty. I wanted to see you, she replied. I know. I packed your coffee. I know. No, you don't. Mom, I'm not ready. She looked through the kitchen door at the car with its open hatch. Will you ever be? Yes. When? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Diane handed the phone back to me without saying goodbye. She walked into the garage, turned off the light, and closed the door between herself and the packed car. The cooler and boxes stayed by the back door after I unloaded them. She did not unpack them. She did not go to Raleigh either. The boxes became furniture. For 2 days, we stepped around them without comment. The cooler sat nearest the back door, empty now except for 2 blue ice packs Diane had forgotten to return to the freezer. The grocery box stayed sealed. The canvas bag of linens leaned against the wall like a tired person. On Tuesday morning, I carried the linens upstairs. Diane watched from the bedroom doorway. I wasn't ready to unpack those. They're blocking the door. They were beside the door. That is how blocking works. You could have asked. I'm asking now. Do you want the sheets in the closet or the hallway? I don't care. That isn't an answer. She looked at me. The phrase had been hers, then Evan's, then hers again. Half our family arguments were built from sentences we accused one another of using. The closet, she said. I put them away. She had canceled the hotel reservation. I learned because she left the confirmation on the printer, face up. She had done it herself without asking me to call, explain, or negotiate the cancellation charge. I thought about thanking her, then decided gratitude would sound like approval from a parole board. At night, she slept beside me, but kept her back turned. She no longer closed the bedroom door. That felt worse. I opened the carton of photographs on Wednesday. The frames were packed in old bath towels. Some had hung in Evan's apartment years earlier, his wedding photograph, a picture of him and Rachel at the lake, one of the 4 of us on our front steps when his hair reached his collar and I still had enough hair to object. Beneath them was the frame map Diane had given him when he moved back. The red pin marked our house. The blue pin marked his old apartment. 12 minutes was written in her neat hand. Evan had returned the box in March and told us he was getting rid of things they never displayed. I carried it inside without asking why family photographs had become clutter. Diane put the box in the hall closet without opening it. We had both been given the truth in a form we found convenient not to understand. Diane came downstairs while I was sitting on the floor with the map across my knees. I packed those for him, she said. I know. He gave them back before he left. Yes. Why didn't that bother us? It bothered you. You complained about bare walls. That isn't the same as asking. No? She picked up the wedding picture. Lauren was laughing at something outside the frame. Evan was looking at her instead of the camera. I thought they were redecorating, Diane said. I thought the chairs were in our way, and he was finally returning them. You always hated those chairs. They pinched my fingers every time I folded them. She almost smiled. Then she wrapped the photograph again. I didn't pack the pictures because I thought he wanted them, she said. I packed them because I wanted him to see what he was throwing away. I know. You keep saying that. I'm trying not to tell you what you meant. Very disciplined. I stood and carried the map to the hall table. Do you want to put these back in the closet? No. Throw them away? No. Then what? I don't know. This time, neither of us challenged the answer. Rachel called Thursday evening. Can you tell Mom I'm not coming Sunday? She asked. No. A pause. Is she standing there? She's at the store. Then why not? Because you have her number. She'll ask why. Then tell her why. I'm tired, Dad. So is she. She'll think I'm avoiding her. Are you? Yes. The honesty made me sit back. Tell her that. Are you serious? Yes. That will hurt her. Then say it without being cruel. I don't know how. Neither do I. Apparently, we're all learning. Rachel sighed. How is she? Ask her. How are you? I opened the photo box. She went quiet. You knew about that too, I said. I helped Evan put it in his car. Of course you did. He said Mom would make him take it back if she saw what was in it. So instead, he handed us a sealed box and let us store the insult for him. That's one way to describe it. What's another? He didn't want those pictures in the new place. That answer was cleaner and hurt more. Why? I don't know. Ask him. I will. Rachel called Diane after we hung up. I heard my wife say, I appreciate you telling me yourself, followed by, no, I don't appreciate the reason. They spoke for 12 minutes. Nobody left the house. Nobody called me afterward for translation. It felt like an accomplishment so small I was ashamed to value it. At 6 on Sunday, Diane sat at the table with her phone face down. She had not set a place for Evan. She had not cooked a roast. We ate baked potatoes and a salad from a bag. At 6:10, she cleared her plate. He isn't calling, she said. He may be late. He promised last week. At 6:15, my phone buzzed. Evan had written, I think we need to skip this week. Things are tense here. Tell Mom I'll call soon. I showed Diane. Her face hardened on the words, tell Mom. Don't answer, she said. I'm going to. Then don't answer for me, I typed. Tell her yourself. He replied almost immediately. I can't do another argument tonight. I wrote, then say that to her. The dots appeared and vanished 3 times. No message came. Diane carried her plate to the sink. I'm not asking you to chase him. I know. I mean it. He made a promise. So did I. I said I wouldn't go. You kept yours. She turned from the sink. Do not turn me staying home into a reward he owes me. I'm not. Yes, you are. You think I behaved, so now he should call. I think he asked for a boundary and you respected it. He can acknowledge that. He didn't ask. He ordered. Fine. He ordered and you respected it. That doesn't mean he wants me. The sentence stopped me. Diane rinsed her plate and placed it in the dishwasher. I'm going upstairs, she said. I called Evan. Voicemail. I waited for the tone. Your mother is not coming to Raleigh. She canceled the room, unpacked the car, and has not asked Rachel for anything else. If you need a week, tell her you need a week. Don't disappear and make me announce it. I won't do that again. I ended the call. Diane was standing at the foot of the stairs. I heard. Good. I told you not to call for me. I called for me. You said my name 4 times. It was about you. That doesn't mean it was for you. She folded her arms. What does that even mean? It means I'm angry that he keeps using me to manage what he won't say, and you use my behavior as evidence. Because it mattered to you. Yes. She looked toward the kitchen, where her phone remained face down beside the salad bowl. He won't call, she said. He called 11 minutes later. Diane let it ring twice before answering. I stayed in the living room. I could have heard if I tried. Instead, I turned on the television and watched a man explain how to roast a fish inside a salt crust. It seemed like a great deal of labor to make fish taste like fish. Diane came back 20 minutes later. What did he say? I asked. He needs a week. What did you say? I said he should have told me, and he said that's why he was calling. She sat at the other end of the sofa. Did you argue? Yes. About what? Whether asking for space after disappearing is the same as disappearing again. What did you decide? That it isn't the same, but it feels the same. I muted the television. He said the pictures weren't an insult, she added. He said Lauren wanted the new place to feel like theirs, not like an extension of this house. He could have removed the pictures from the frames. I said that. What did he say? He said he didn't think of it. That sounds like him. He also said you hated the folding chairs. I did. He knew. Everyone knew. A faint smile touched her mouth, then vanished. He told me Lauren is angry, she said, not just about us. She says he has spent the whole move waiting for me to find a way into it. Every sound in the hallway, every unknown number, every package. That sounds exhausting. Diane looked at me. For him? For all of them. She turned toward the blank television screen. I don't want him to be afraid of me. No, but I'm angry that he is. Yes. You're not helping. I don't know how. Finally. We sat in the blue light from a commercial neither of us could hear. After a while, Diane said, "You told me you were disappearing from your own life." I did. What did you mean? I had spent the week hoping she would not ask and resenting her for not asking. When I retired, I said, I thought we would figure out what came next. You started reorganizing the basement. Yes, you reorganized it twice. The shelves were wrong. The shelves were fine. I know. She waited. I didn't know how to be here without a job to do. You had dinners, calls, birthdays, everyone's schedules. I had gutters. You could have talked to me. So could you. I did talk. You reported. You told me what Evan needed and what Rachel was worried about and who was bringing dessert. You didn't tell me you were lonely. Her eyes flashed. You were sitting 3 feet away from me. That doesn't mean you weren't lonely. Were you? Yes. Because of me? Because I made myself useful instead of available. She looked down at her hands. That sounds like something from a brochure. It may still be true. You're using my line now. It was a good line. She leaned back against the sofa. Sunday dinners were the one time everybody came without me having to admit I needed them too. You called them every week, I reminded them. You called it confirming. I did not want to be the woman begging her adult children to visit. So, you created an appointment. They came. Yes. And you liked it? Yes. Then why did you let me become the reason? I thought of all the times I had said your mother wants instead of we want. Because if they said no, they were saying no to you. Diane closed her eyes. And if they came, she said, you gotta have them without asking. Yes. The television changed scenes, washing the room green, then gold. She opened her eyes. That was cowardly. Yes. So was leaving without telling us. Yes. Everybody gets to be a coward except me. No. You packed a car at 5 in the morning because you were afraid he would say no. She flinched, but she did not leave. After a while, she said, move over. There was an entire empty cushion between us. I moved anyway. Diane sat beside me, close enough that our shoulders touched. Neither of us commented on it. On the television, the cook cracked open the salt crust with a small hammer. The fish underneath looked relieved. That seems unnecessary, Diane said. I was thinking the same thing. You've watched the whole thing. I wanted to see whether it worked. Did it? He has fish. We had fish before he started. She took the remote and turned the sound back on. We stayed there until the program ended, not holding hands, not solving anything. When we went upstairs, she faced me in bed instead of the wall. The grocery box was the next thing to leave the back door. Diane unpacked it herself. Coffee in the pantry, crackers in the cabinet, pasta sauce in the basement, because it had been on sale and she had bought 6 jars. The photographs took longer. We spread them across the dining table one evening. Diane removed each one from its frame and wrote the date and place on the back. She did not write who was in the picture. She said if we reached the point where we needed labels for our own faces, the labels would not help. We kept 3 downstairs. Evan and Rachel at the lake went on the piano. The wedding photograph went into the hall. The picture from our front steps returned to the living room, though Diane replaced the frame because the old one had a crack. The others went into an acid-free storage box she ordered online after reading 12 reviews. The map remained on the table. What do we do with that? I asked. I don't want it. Throw it away? No. We have reached the limits of this game. She took out the blue pin. The tiny hole it left marked an apartment where neither of our children lived. The red pin remained at our house. Diane put the map in the storage box without the blue one. The week Evan asked for became 9 days. On the 9th evening, he called Diane. He did not call on Sunday. He chose a Tuesday at 7:20, which meant there was no set table and no promise to measure him against. They spoke for half an hour. I heard Diane ask about his office, the humidity, and whether he had found a barber. She did not ask when he was coming home. Afterward, she told me his new barber had given him the haircut of a regional weatherman. He sent a picture? No, Lauren did. Then you and Lauren are talking. We exchanged 2 messages. That is talking. It is typing. The next call came 4 days later. Then a week passed. A pattern formed, but not one Diane could prepare a meal around. Sometimes Evan called her. Sometimes Lauren sent a photograph of something ordinary. A badly assembled shelf, red clay on the carpet, a lizard clinging to the outside of their kitchen window. Diane answered without forwarding every exchange to me. I learned not to ask for a full report. One Thursday, I called Rachel. Is something wrong? She answered. No. Is Mom okay? Yes. Then why are you calling? I wanted to ask if you'd have dinner with us Sunday. She went quiet. I had said us. I nearly corrected it to your mother, but caught myself. Mom asked you to call, she said. No. She knows you're calling? No. Are you being held somewhere? Rachel, I'm checking. I would like you to come to dinner. The words felt embarrassingly formal. What are you making? She asked. I haven't reached that part. So, you're inviting me to a conceptual meal? Yes. Will Mom know she's hosting it? Eventually, Rachel laughed. All right. When I told Diane, she stared at me from the laundry room doorway. You invited Rachel for Sunday? Yes. Without asking me. It's my house too. I know that. You don't sound pleased. I am trying to understand who will cook. We can order something. On Sunday, restaurants remain operational. What did you tell her we were having? A conceptual meal. Diane shook her head and walked away, but I heard her laugh in the hallway. We ordered Italian from a place near Rachel's office. Diane objected to the price, then added eggplant parmesan and garlic knots. I set the table. At $5.50, she stopped me before I put down a 4th plate. No, she said. I wasn't going to. You were holding one. I was putting it back. She took the plate and slid it into the cabinet. Rachel arrived at 6:13 with a bottle of wine. I'm late, she announced. Your mother noticed, I said. I did not say anything, Diane replied. You were looking at the clock so hard it lost a minute. Rachel set the wine on the counter. Do I still live in Pennsylvania, or has the family relocated again? It was a dangerous joke. Diane looked at her, then laughed. The sound released something in the room. Dinner was not easy, but it moved. Rachel complained about a manager who used the phrase circle back whenever he wanted someone else to fix his mistake. Diane described Marjorie Pike's campaign against plastic flowers at church. I told them about a squirrel that had moved into our gutter and behaved as if I were the trespasser. Halfway through the eggplant, Diane put down her fork. I'm sorry I asked you to drive me to Raleigh. Rachel swallowed. Okay, I shouldn't have put you between us. Thank you. I still think giving me the address was right. I know you do. And I don't appreciate being treated like I'm dangerous. Rachel folded her napkin once, then unfolded it. You're not dangerous. You were afraid I would go. I was right. Yes. The answer prevented an argument by refusing to deny the obvious. Rachel looked at me. Did you know she was going to apologize? No. Stop checking with him, Diane said. I wasn't. You were. Rachel faced her mother again. I'm sorry I helped Evan leave without telling you, she said. I thought I was protecting him. I was also protecting myself from having to see what it did to you. Diane's eyes filled. You should be sorry. I am. You let me talk about Sunday dinner while you knew he was gone. Yes. Did you feel guilty? Every time. That helps a little. Mom, I didn't say it should. I reached for the wine. Diane looked at me. You don't need to do anything. I was pouring. You were preparing. For what? To change the subject. I set the bottle down. Rachel smiled faintly. You two are exhausting now. We were always exhausting, I said. We just used to do it separately. My phone rang on the counter. Evan, all 3 of us looked toward it. Diane remained seated. You answer? She said. I did, without putting him on speaker. What's happening? Evan asked. Dinner? With Mom? I usually eat with your mother. You know what I mean. Rachel's here. A pause. Why? Because I invited her. Is this about me? No. Across the table, Rachel raised an eyebrow. I turned slightly away. You're all sitting around talking about what happened, Evan said. We mentioned it. So it is about me. You came up. You are not the event. Diane covered a smile with her napkin. Evan heard the movement. Am I on speaker? No. Then why does it sound like everyone's listening? Because the room got quiet when you called. I can call back, or you can talk to us. I put the phone on speaker and set it beside the wine. Hi, Rachel said. Hi, Diane said. We ordered Italian. From where? Portofino's. Their sauce is too sweet. You always eat it. That doesn't make it good. For 10 minutes, he was simply at dinner in the limited way a voice could be. He asked Rachel about work. Lauren called something from across their apartment, and Diane asked what she said. Evan told us the kitchen window was sticking. I nearly offered instructions, then let him finish describing how he had fixed it himself. When the call ended, nobody had promised the next one. Rachel left at 8:30. At the door, she hugged Diane first, then me. Thank you for inviting me, she said. You're welcome, and for saying you wanted me here. I had not realized she noticed the difference. After she drove away, Diane and I cleared the table together. You were right about the sauce, she said. It was sweet. No, about inviting her. I rinsed a plate. You could say that again. I could. She handed me another plate. I won't. Evan called me 2 weeks later while I was in the basement sorting screws into jars. Are you busy? He asked. I am engaged in work of national importance. Still organizing the basement? I'm refining. Mom says you've done that twice. Your mother exaggerates. No, she doesn't. I let that pass. He cleared his throat. I need to come back for some things. What things? My records, the 2 milk crates near the workbench, and the metal toolbox Grandpa gave me. They've been there 6 years, I know. What changed? I want them. He sounded defensive before I had objected. Then come get them. I have meetings in Pittsburgh next Friday. I can drive over Saturday morning. Are you bringing Lauren? No. Why not? She can't get away. The sentence was too quick, but I did not press. Stay here, I said. I booked a hotel. Cancel it. Dad. You don't have to. I'm telling you the room is available. I think a hotel is better. For whom? For everyone. That usually means no one was asked. He went quiet. Does Mom know? He asked. Not yet. Can you wait to tell her until I know my schedule? No. Why? Because you are talking about entering our house next Saturday. I was going to tell her. You can tell her now. I called you. That remains the problem. He exhaled. Fine, I'll call her. Good. Dad? Yes, I'm not coming back to fix everything. I didn't ask you to. I need that to be clear. It is. He called Diane 10 minutes later. She listened. She asked whether he wanted to stay with us. When he said no, she did not ask again. She asked whether he wanted dinner. I could tell by the way she stood that his answer surprised her. After she hung up, she came downstairs. He said yes, she told me. To dinner? Saturday? What are you making? Soup. Just soup? He asked for something simple. You make 6-hour soup. I can make 4-hour soup. The week that followed was full of restraint. Diane bought no roast. She did not polish the silver. She moved the red pin map box to the upstairs closet and left the photographs where they were. On Saturday morning, she put a pot on the stove at 10. At 11:12, a car door closed outside. Diane looked at me from the kitchen. I dried my hands on a towel and went to the front window. Evan stood beside a rented sedan with his overnight bag still in the trunk. He looked thinner, tired. His hair was, in fact, terrible. He stared at the house for several seconds before walking to the door. When the bell rang, neither Diane nor I moved right away. Diane touched the front of her blouse, though there was nothing wrong with it. You answer, she said. It's our door. I know whose door it is. The bell rang again. I opened it. Evan stood on the porch with his hands in the pockets of his brown jacket. He still owned it. He also had a new pair of glasses and a haircut that made the top of his head look broader than the bottom. Hi, Dad. Your barber dislikes you. He reached up and touched his hair. Mom told you. She said, regional weatherman. I think assistant manager at a boat dealership. He laughed, and some of the tension left his face. Then he looked past me. Diane had come into the hallway. She stayed near the kitchen door with a dish towel folded over one arm. Hello, Evan. Hi, Mom. Nobody moved. I stepped aside so he could enter. You planning to spend the visit on the porch? He crossed the threshold and stopped on the rug. Diane walked toward him. She did not hurry. She put her arms around him, and for 1 second his hands remained at his sides. Then he hugged her back. It lasted too long to be casual and not long enough to fix anything. When Diane released him, she looked directly at his face. "You're thin." "There she is," he said. "I'm allowed one." "One what?" "One observation." That was an accusation. It was an observation with concern. "You look the same." That is a terrible thing to say to a woman. Evan smiled despite himself. "You look good." "Too late." She returned to the kitchen. He watched her go. "How is she?" "Ask her." "I just did." "You commented on her appearance." "So did she." "You're both doing excellent work." He took off his jacket and hung it on the same hook he had used since he was tall enough to reach it. The house seemed to recognize him faster than we did. He noticed the photograph on the living room wall, the four of us on the front steps. "You opened the box," he said. "Yes." "All of it?" "There wasn't a bomb in the bottom." "I didn't mean your mother labeled and stored the pictures. We kept 3 out." He looked toward the piano and saw the lake photograph. "I wasn't trying to get rid of the family. You were getting rid of pictures of the family. Lauren and I wanted the new place to be ours." "You could have said that, I know." Those 2 words had become his safest answer. They acknowledged fault without inviting discussion of its size. "Basement?" I asked. He nodded. Diane called from the kitchen. "Lunch will be ready at 1. I thought we were having dinner." "You need lunch too. I had breakfast." "At what time?" "Mom?" "One observation?" She called back. "Questions are separate." He looked at me. "You live like this." "So did you." The basement smelled of concrete, laundry soap, and the cedar shavings I kept in an open jar because I liked the smell. Evan stopped halfway down the stairs. "You moved everything. I refined it. You labeled the shelves. Your sister mocked me too." "I'm not mocking. I'm concerned. Keep going." The 2 milk crates sat beneath the workbench. I had dusted around them for 6 years without once asking whether he wanted them. The records leaned at angles inside. Springsteen, Fleetwood Mac, Miles Davis, a jazz album he bought because he liked the cover and never admitted he hated the music. He lifted the first crate. Still heavy. Records have not gotten lighter. He set it down near the stairs. The metal toolbox was under a canvas drop cloth. My father had given it to Evan after teaching him to change his own oil. It was dented green steel with a tray that stuck if you pulled it too quickly. Evan opened it. Inside were mismatched sockets, 2 screwdrivers, a spark plug gauge, and a roll of electrical tape so old it had fused to itself. "You kept everything," he said. "It was yours. You could have used the sockets. I have sockets. You called me about a 1/2-inch socket right before we left. I had misplaced one. I did not consider raiding a historical collection." He picked up the old tape and smiled. "Why do you want this now?" I asked. He closed the lid. "We have room. You had room before. The apartment in Raleigh has a storage closet. That is not what I asked." He crouched beside the toolbox, looking at the rust along one corner. "Lauren says we need to stop living like we're ready to run again. From Raleigh, from wherever." I waited. He stood and brushed dust from his hands. "She thinks I'm treating the apartment like a hotel. I haven't hung anything except those shelves. Half my clothes are still in bags." "You've been there 2 months, I know. Is that why she didn't come?" "She had work. That was quick." "What?" The answer. He leaned against the workbench. "She didn't want to come. Because she's angry with us? With me. For leaving without telling us. For making her part of it? Yes. She got in the car. So everyone keeps reminding her." "I'm not blaming her. You just said it like evidence." He picked at a paint spot on the workbench. "She said she supported moving," he continued. "She did not support disappearing. I told her there was no way to separate the two." "There was. Not if I wanted to leave. You don't know that." "Yes, I do. You know you might have backed out. That isn't the same as someone preventing you." His jaw tightened. "Dad, I didn't drive up here to reopen the case. You drove up here to take things from my basement while standing inside the case. I came for work, and the timing was convenient. See, this is what happens. A toolbox becomes a statement. It became a statement when you told me Lauren thinks you're preparing to run again." He looked toward the stairs. I had pushed too hard. My instinct was to step back, ask about his meetings, or complain about the weight of the records. Instead, I let the discomfort stay where it was. "Did Mom really pack the car?" he asked. "Yes." "What did she bring?" "Food, sheets, clothes, pictures, the box you returned." He shut his eyes. Of course. She thought you should see what you were throwing away. I wasn't throwing it away. That distinction was not visible from here. Thank you for stopping her. I didn't. You told her you wouldn't go. That stopped me. She called you, heard you say no, and stayed. Because you made her call. I asked her to. You unloaded the car. My suitcase was in it. He stared at me. Why are you correcting every word? Because every word makes your mother something I control. I didn't say control. You said stop. Fine. Thank you for not helping her come. That I did. He nodded slowly. Why didn't you? He asked. Because it was wrong, even though she was hurt. Being hurt does not make everything you do next right. He looked at me, and I watched him hear the rest of the sentence without my saying it. That applies to me, he said. Yes. He turned toward the records. I know the text was cruel. Do you? Yes. Why did you send it? He gripped the side of the milk crate. I had been staring at Mom's messages all day. What messages? Pictures of the roast, the table, a joke about you hovering in the kitchen. She sent you a picture before dinner at 4:30. He took out his phone, scrolled, then showed me. There was our dining table set for 3. Diane had written, "Your father has already sampled the gravy twice. Come early if you want any." I remember dipping bread into the pot while her back was turned. I was sitting on the floor in the new apartment, Evan said. Lauren was opening boxes. I kept thinking I should call. Every minute I didn't call made calling worse. So you lied. I thought if I said I was late, it would buy me an hour. For what? To figure out what to say. But you didn't call. No, you let the hour become 11 days. I know. And your mother became the reason. His face hardened. She was part of the reason. Part. Yes. What was the rest? He sat on the bottom stair. Me. It was the first time he had said it, without immediately adding us. I sat on the crate across from him. Lauren was furious when she saw the message, he said. She told me to call right then. I said I would after we ate, then I went out. To buy things. I didn't need anything. I drove around. That's where you were when we called. Yes. Were you ever going to tell us? Of course. When? I don't know. The basement was quiet except for the furnace fan. You left Mom waiting, he said. You left both of us waiting. I know, but she was at the table, and I was standing in your empty apartment. He looked down. I'm sorry, he said. I believed he meant it. I also knew he had chosen the smaller room for the apology. Tell her, I will. Not because I told you. He looked at me with tired amusement. You've really adopted that? Your sister hates it. So do I. Good. We carried the first crate upstairs together. At the top, Evan paused when he smelled the soup. What is that? Beef barley, Diane called. You said simple. It's soup. It smells like you started it yesterday. I started the stock yesterday. The soup began today. That distinction would hold up in court. Take the records to your car. He did. At 1, we sat at the dining table. 3 places. No blue blouse, no folded napkin waiting for an absent person. Diane had made bread, but claimed it was leftover dough. Evan tasted the soup. This is good. Careful, I said. She'll make it again. Diane ignored me. Did you find everything? Yes. Are you staying at the hotel tonight? Yes. You could stay here. I know. She nodded and took a spoonful of soup. Evan looked around the room. His eyes stopped on the scratch in the table. I did that, he said. Yes, Diane replied. You covered it. I uncovered it. Why? I got tired of protecting the table from the fact that people used it. He looked at her. That sounds like something Dad would say now. Your father is contagious. For a few minutes, we ate. Then Diane set down her spoon. Lauren didn't come because she is angry with you. It was not a question. Evan wiped his mouth. She had work. Your father said she didn't want to come. He looked at me. Don't, I said. Answer her. Yes, he told Diane. She didn't want to come. Is your marriage in trouble? Diane, I said. She turned on me. I am asking him. Evan pressed his napkin flat against the table. We're having a hard time. Because of us? Because of how I handled us. Diane's face softened, but she did not reach for him. Does she regret moving? No. Do you? No. The speed of the answer hurt her. She managed not to punish him for it. All right, she said. Evan stared into his soup. I need to say something, he began. Diane's hands tightened in her lap. He looked at her, then at me. I'm sorry I made you wait for me. She waited. The old version of Diane would have filled the silence for him. The old version of me would have thanked him for trying. Neither of us moved. Evan swallowed. That isn't all of it, he said. I know. He turned his spoon over beside the bowl. I knew you would cook, he said. I knew you would wait. I sent the message anyway because I wanted another hour where nothing had happened. Something had happened, Diane said. You had moved, I know. You keep saying that. Because I do know. Knowing afterward is cheap. Evan looked at her. I knew then too. That answer hurt more, but it was honest enough that Diane didn't interrupt. I pictured the table, he continued. I pictured Dad wandering around the kitchen and you telling him to stop touching things. I knew what time you put the roast in. I knew you'd bought the rolls. I knew all of it. And I still sent the text. Why? Because I was angry. At me, yes. For making dinner. For every dinner where I felt like saying no meant I had to prove I loved you. Diane's eyes narrowed. You came because you wanted to. Sometimes. You laughed. You drank our wine. You stayed until 10. I also watched the clock and tried to guess when I could leave without you asking what was wrong. I asked because something was wrong. And then we had to discuss whether I was allowed to feel it. That isn't fair. No, it isn't entirely fair. He took a breath. That's part of what I'm sorry for. I turned every dinner into evidence against you after I left. They weren't all bad. A lot of them were good. You made them good. Diane looked down at her soup. But I used the last one to punish you, he said. I told myself I was avoiding a fight. I wasn't. I knew waiting would hurt you, and some part of me wanted you to feel what it was like to have no choice. The words sat in the middle of the table. You had choices, Diane said. Yes. You could have stood up. You could have said no. You could have told me you were moving. Yes. You could have acted like an adult instead of sneaking away and calling it a boundary. Yes. Her voice rose. Stop agreeing with me. What do you want me to do? Defend yourself. I've been defending myself for 2 months. Then do it now, where I can see you. His chair scraped as he shifted back. I was scared of you. Diane's face went still. Not that you'd hurt me, he said. Not like that. I was scared of watching you get hurt and knowing I caused it. I was scared you would cry and Dad would look at me like I had kicked something helpless. I opened my mouth. He lifted one hand toward me. Please. I let him continue. I was scared Lauren would see me give in again. I was scared I'd resent her if we stayed and resent you if we left. I was scared I'd get to Raleigh and discover I had blamed my whole life on Sunday dinner when the problem was me. And, Diane asked, and I'm still me in Raleigh. A small sound escaped her. It could have been a laugh or a sob. Evan looked at his hands. I still avoid things. I still make Lauren say what both of us want, then act like I'm agreeing with her. I still wait until I'm angry enough to do something cruel so I don't have to admit I wanted it in the first place. I felt the accusation reach across the table and recognize me. Lauren says moving didn't make me brave, he added. It just gave me different rooms to be quiet in. Diane picked up her napkin and pressed it to her mouth. You should have told me, she said. I should have. You should have let me be hurt. Yes, I would have been terrible. Probably. Thank you. He almost smiled. I might have called too much, she continued. I might have sent you houses. I might have told Marjorie, although not everybody at church. Dr. Kessler would have known. Dr. Kessler knows everything. But you would have survived, Evan said. Yes. And so would I. Yes. Diane folded the napkin and placed it beside her bowl. I'm sorry too, she said. Evan's eyes lifted. She immediately looked irritated, as if his surprise were insulting. I am capable of apologizing. I didn't say anything. Your eyebrows did. He lowered them. I'm sorry I made your choices about me, she said. When you talked about another job, I heard that I had failed to make home worth staying near. When you and Lauren wanted different Sunday plans, I heard that her family mattered and we didn't. Lauren's family lives in Arizona. That made it worse. You were choosing people who weren't even present. I wasn't choosing anyone. I know that now. Do you? She gave him a look. You are not the only person allowed to say it, he nodded. When you turned down Colorado, Diane continued, I was relieved. I told myself that meant you hadn't really wanted it. I did not ask what it cost you because I was afraid you would tell me. It cost me. I understand. No, you understand the job. It cost Lauren too. Diane looked toward me. I said, "Stay with him?" She turned back. Lauren had already looked at apartments, Evan said. She told her company she was ready. Then I backed out, and she had to pretend she wasn't disappointed, because I said it was my decision. It was your decision. Yes. And I used you as the reason so I wouldn't have to admit I was afraid. Diane absorbed that. I still made the fear useful, she said. Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you. He rubbed one thumb along the edge of the table. What about the phone calls? He asked. What about them? If I didn't answer, you called Dad. I worried. You recruited. I asked whether he had heard from you. Then he called me and made it sound casual. Both of them looked at me. I had no spoon in my hand, no bottle to reach for, and no subject ready to substitute. I did, I said. Evan leaned back. Every time? Not every time? Most times? Yes, Diane said. You didn't have to call him. No, I replied. I wanted him to answer so you would settle down. Her lips tightened. And I wanted him at dinner, I added. But I let you take all the blame for wanting him there? Evan looked at me. I never forced you to come, I said. I did something easier to deny. I reminded you how upset your mother would be. I asked you to give her time. When the time passed, I asked for more. The holidays, he said. Yes. Then her birthday. Yes. Then you said winter was hard on her. Diane looked between us. When was this? When Lauren and I said we wanted every other Sunday to ourselves, Evan replied. Last year. You told me your schedules were busy. They were. I said I asked him to wait before changing things. Diane stared at me. You told me they wanted to keep Sundays. I told you they were still coming. That isn't the same. No? Why? Because I liked having them here too. You could have told me that. I should have. Evan gave a tired laugh. This table is getting crowded. No, Diane said. It was always crowded. We just had invisible people doing the talking. She looked at me. You made me the difficult one. Yes. And you, she told Evan, made Lauren the ambitious one whenever you wanted something. He rubbed his face. Yes. And I made both of you responsible for whether I felt needed. Nobody answered. There was nothing to add. The soup cooled. A car passed outside with music loud enough to rattle the front window, then disappeared down the street. Evan picked up his spoon, took one bite, and set it down again. What happens now? He asked. Diane's old answer would have involved a calendar. My old answer would have been, whatever keeps everyone comfortable. I don't know, she said. He looked at me. I don't either. That's reassuring. It's honest, Diane replied. I don't want to go back to every Sunday. No one asked you to. You were about to. I was thinking it. That counts. No, it does not. I am allowed to think things without making them your obligation. He accepted that. I don't want scheduled calls that become another dinner, he said. Then don't promise a time you don't intend to keep. I can do that. And if you need space, you tell me. Not your father, not Rachel. All right. Diane looked at me. And if I'm upset, I tell him. I don't send you to fix it. I would appreciate that. You might regret it. I already regret the other way. Evan turned toward me. And you? No more private favors involving your mother. What if it's her birthday? Buy your own card. I meant asking what she wants. Ask her. What if she says nothing? Then buy nothing and live with the consequences. Diane frowned. That seems extreme. It is not your turn. She sat back. And no more telling me one thing because you expect me to translate it into something nicer, I said. If you're angry with her, tell her. If you're angry with me, try remembering I'm not furniture. I never thought you were furniture. You left me to walk into an empty apartment. Evan's face changed. There it was. The part of the disappearance that had remained smaller because Diane's waiting was easier to picture. I'm sorry, he said. I had your spare key in my hand. Your neighbor asked if I helped you move. I had to tell her I didn't know where you lived. I know. No, you weren't there. He nodded. I called you 9 days after you left, I continued. You talked to me about breaks. You knew I would eventually find out, and you knew I would have to go home and tell her. Yes. You didn't just use me as a shield from your mother. You treated me like her handler. I did. I am your father. I know. You keep saying that. His eyes filled. I don't know what else to say. Say you understand the difference. He looked at me across the table. I understand that hurting Mom wasn't the only thing I did. I left you out because I thought your only choice would be her. I felt Diane watching me, and I was angry about that, Evan continued. I thought you always chose her. I usually chose quiet. That felt like her. I know, he swallowed. I'm sorry I didn't treat losing you like something I could lose. That was the apology I had not known how to ask for. I nodded once because anything more would have embarrassed both of us. Diane stood and took the soup bowls to the kitchen. She did not use the movement to end the conversation. She returned with 3 smaller bowls and the apple crisp she had claimed she was not making. Evan looked at it. Simple. Apologies require dessert. Is that a rule? It is now. We ate it warm with vanilla ice cream. The conversation did not become easy. Evan became defensive twice. Diane asked 3 questions she withdrew before he answered. I attempted to explain what each of them meant and was told, by both, to stop. At 4, Evan carried the second crate and toolbox to his car. Diane stood in the doorway while I helped him fit everything into the trunk. The rental was smaller than he thought, and we had to move his overnight bag into the back seat. You could still stay here, she said. He closed the trunk. I'm going to the hotel. All right, she did not ask why. Evan walked back to her. For a second, I thought they would hug again. Instead, he said, "Thank you for the soup." "You're welcome. And the apology." "You're welcome. I'll call." "Call when you mean to." "I will." He looked toward me. "I'll walk you out," I said, though we were already outside. Diane understood. She went into the house. Evan and I stood beside the rental car. "Do you think she meant it?" he asked. "Yes. All of it? People can mean something and still fail at it. That sounds promising. It applies to you, too." He put his hands in his jacket pockets. "Do you think we can fix this?" "No." His expression fell. "I think fixing means putting it back the way it was," I said. "I don't want that. What do you want? Something where you don't disappear, your mother doesn't count dinners, and I don't spend my life carrying messages between you. That sounds harder. It probably is." He nodded. "Lauren wants us to come down sometime," he said. "Not now, later, both of us?" "Yes." "Tell your mother yourself." "I will." He opened the car door, then stopped. "Dad?" "What?" "I did want to call you." "But you didn't." "No. Next time, do the thing you want before it becomes the thing you regret." He smiled faintly. "Is that what you're doing?" "I'm considering it." He drove away with the records and toolbox. This time, we knew where he was going. Diane stood at the living room window until the rental car turned the corner. "He didn't hug me goodbye," she said. "No." "I didn't hug him either." "No." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Tell you what?" "To hug him." I looked at her. She gave a tired smile. I heard it as soon as I said it. In the kitchen, the soup pot was still half full. Diane ladled some into containers. She held up a 4th container, considered it, then returned it to the cabinet. "We'll be eating this all week," she said. "You made enough for a construction crew. I didn't know whether he'd be hungry. He ate 3 bowls. He's thin. You used your observation. That one remains valid." We washed the dishes together. When Diane reached the scratch place on the table with her cloth, she wiped across it instead of around it. At 7, Evan texted both of us. "At the hotel. Thank you for today." Diane typed for a long time. She erased whatever she had written and sent. "Glad you came." I replied, "Your toolbox is missing the 10mm socket." 3 dots appeared. "You stole it." I wrote, "Prove it." The next morning, he drove back to North Carolina. He did not call when he arrived. Around 9, Diane checked her phone twice, then placed it in a drawer. "I'm not waiting," she announced. "I didn't say you were. You were thinking it. I was thinking about pie. We don't have pie. That is why it concerns me." At 9:30, her phone rang inside the drawer. She let it ring while she finished drying a bowl. Then she opened the drawer and answered. "You got home," she said. A pause. "No, I wasn't worried." Another pause. I was moderately aware of the distance. She listened, smiling despite herself. "All right. Call your father, too. He's pretending not to hover." She handed me the phone instead of reporting the conversation. Evan and I talked for 6 minutes. He complained about traffic. I told him the squirrel had defeated my second attempt to block the gutter. Neither of us mentioned the empty apartment or the dining table. It was not avoidance. We had said those things while looking at each other. We were allowed to talk about squirrels afterward. He called again the following Wednesday to ask whether the dent in the toolbox had always been there. I told him it happened when my father dropped it from the back of a truck. Evan said he remembered a different story involving an angry mule. Your grandfather improved his stories every year, I said. So, which one is true? The truck. Are you sure? No. He laughed. We spoke more often after that, but not predictably. Sometimes 10 days passed. Once he called 3 evenings in a row because he was replacing a bathroom faucet and refused to admit the instructions made no sense. I talked him through the first problem. On the second night, he sent photographs. On the third, I said, "You know there are plumbers in North Carolina. I'm almost done. You've said that for 7 hours. I need to know which way this washer faces. Call a plumber. You know which way. I do. Dad." "What? Please." That was different from "don't tell Mom," I told him. When the faucet worked, he sent a photograph of himself kneeling beneath the sink with his grandfather's toolbox open beside him. On the wall behind him hung the lake photograph. I recognized it immediately. "Where did you get that?" I wrote. "Mom sent me a copy." I looked across the room. Diane was reading a magazine in her chair. "You sent him the lake picture? A copy? You didn't tell me? I'm allowed to communicate without filing a report." "Yes." She lowered the magazine. "Are you bothered?" "No." "Then why do you sound bothered?" "I'm adjusting." She returned to the article. "Do it quietly." Lauren began calling once every few weeks. Sometimes she called Diane. Sometimes she called me. She never discussed her marriage in detail, and neither of us asked. She did tell me Evan had finally unpacked his clothes. "He hung pictures too," I said. "One picture," she replied. "Let's not give him a parade. Did he fix the faucet?" "Eventually." "We lost pressure in the kitchen for reasons nobody understands." "I understand them." "Don't tell him." "I no longer accept that kind of assignment." She laughed. "Fair." Their marriage did not become our business simply because it had been strained by something involving us. That was harder to practice than it sounded. Diane occasionally began a sentence with, "Do you think Lauren?" and stopped. I occasionally wondered whether Evan called because he wanted to speak to me, or because Lauren had reminded him. I learned not to make the answer a condition for enjoying the call. Rachel returned to Sunday dinner twice that month. The first time, Diane invited her. The second time, I did. The third Sunday, nobody came. At 4, Diane stood in front of the refrigerator with the door open. "What are you looking for?" I asked. "I don't know what to make." "What do you want? For dinner? For anything?" "That is too broad a question at 4 in the afternoon." "Then dinner." She closed the refrigerator. "I don't care." "Yes, you do. I am trying to be flexible." "You are trying to make me choose so you can object. That is marriage." I suggested Chinese food. She said it had too much salt. I suggested grilled chicken. She said it was going to rain. I asked whether the chicken was afraid of water. She laughed, then said, "I miss him." It came without a photograph, a place setting, or an accusation. "I know. I miss Lauren too." "I know. I miss Rachel. And she lives 20 minutes away. Call her." I called her Thursday. "Then miss her." "That's all? What else is there?" "I don't know. We ordered Chinese." Diane ate the salty soup and did not mention the salt. The next Sunday she bought a roast. I found it in the refrigerator beside a bundle of carrots and 2 packages of rolls. "Who's coming?" I asked. "No one. That's a large roast. It freezes." "Why did you buy it? It was on sale." "It is always on sale when you're lonely." She shut the refrigerator harder than necessary. "I am allowed to cook." "Yes." "I enjoy it." "Yes." "You enjoyed the roast." "Yes." "Then stop examining it like evidence." I stopped. At 6, the roast was on the table. Diane had set 2 places. We ate it, and it was excellent. Halfway through, she said, "I bought too much." "Yes." "I thought maybe he would call." "That doesn't require meat." "It used to." She looked at the empty end of the table where Evan had always sat. "I don't know what Sunday is for now," she said. "Maybe it doesn't have to be for anything. You like days without plans. I like plans I helped make." She absorbed that. "What would you plan?" she asked. I thought about it before answering. Years earlier, Diane and I used to drive to a restaurant beside the river on Sunday afternoons. It had a narrow deck, bad parking, and a pie case near the register. We stopped going when Sunday dinner became fixed. "I'd go to Miller's Landing," I said. "Their fish is greasy." "You always ordered the chicken. Their chicken is dry. You always finished it." I was hungry. Then it served its purpose. She smiled. "All right," she said, "next Sunday." The following Saturday, Rachel called and asked whether we were cooking. We're going out, I said. Where? Miller's Landing. Mom hates their chicken. So, she claims. Can I come? I looked at Diane, who was beside me reading the mail. She saw the question on my face. Ask her, Diane said. Yes, I told Rachel. I'd like you to. Rachel joined us. Diane ordered the chicken and complained it was dry. I ordered the fish and admitted it was greasy. Rachel ate half of each and took the pie home. That might have become a new ritual if we had let it. Instead, the next Sunday we stayed home. The one after that, Diane went to lunch with Marjorie. I spent 3 hours defeating the squirrel, only to see it sitting in the gutter at dusk with what looked like contempt. We stopped asking each Sunday to prove what the family was. Some were crowded, some were quiet, some were disappointing. Nothing terrible happened when they changed. In July, Lauren sent us a photograph of the Raleigh apartment. The shelves were finally straight. The lake picture hung above a low cabinet. The red recipe notebook stood upright between 2 cookbooks. A week later, Evan called while Diane and I were eating breakfast. We want to invite you down, he said. Diane looked at me, but did not hand me the answer. When? She asked. September, maybe. After it cools down. Are you sure? Yes. Both of you? Both of us. Diane's hand tightened around her coffee cup. We'd like that, she said. We stayed at a hotel. Evan showed us the bright apartment, the stubborn kitchen window, the storage closet where the records and toolbox lived. Lauren made the peach chutney with less vinegar. Diane said it needed more, then caught herself and asked for the recipe. The visit lasted 3 days. There were awkward pauses. Evan became irritated when Diane asked whether the guest room meant they expected company. Diane became offended when he suggested a restaurant instead of letting her cook. I tried once to explain what each meant, and Lauren told me to sit down. We left before anyone needed us to. On the drive home, Diane looked back only once. That went well, she said. It went honestly. That's not the same. No. Do you think they'll invite us again? I don't know. She watched the trees pass. I think they will, she said. So do I. By October, the leaves along our street had turned. On a Sunday afternoon, Diane reached into the cabinet for 3 plates. She paused with the third one in her hand. Are we expecting someone? I asked. No. She put it back. We had no dinner planned. The table was bare except for the salt, pepper, and the small vase Diane kept in the middle, even when it held nothing. Do you want to eat here? She asked. Miller's Landing? The chicken will be dry. It's consistent. She went upstairs to change. While I was looking for my keys, the phone rang. Evan asked whether we would like him and Lauren to visit the following month. Not for a holiday. Not for an occasion. Just a weekend. Diane came downstairs fastening one of the pearl buttons on her blue blouse. She listened while he proposed dates. She did not look at me until he asked, would that work? I waited. Yes, she said. We'd like that. Then she added, if the plan changes, call. I will. No messages about running late from another state. I know. She smiled. You're allowed to say it this time. After they hung up, she stood beside the dining table. Should I make the roast when they come? Ask him. I was asking you. Then yes, make the roast and the rolls, mine. Yours are substantial. Exactly. She took my hand and we left for the river. Behind us, the dining room stayed dark. The table remained unset. Nothing in the house was waiting for someone else to begin.